following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
This week on the Defy Life Podcast, we dropped some new intro music. We also discussed When They See Us and talked to Central Park 5. More blatant bigotry, this time in the Holiday Inn Express. We talked some NBA Finals, heavyweight boxing, and Al's baseball roundup. And as always, we answer some listener questions and wrap things up with some trivia. On to the show. Yeah, that's what it is. I guess we gotta do it then. You alright? Money, West Coast, let's get it. Strap in, let's take a ride. Oh yeah, it's about that time, right? Been waiting all week to get to this. It's finally time to defy life. Let's chop it up, keep it real, no other way. That's what we do. We might disagree, but it's all love. Guarantee we gon' speak the truth. Yeah, this hit different. My guys with me now. Who's with us? Stick around for a few minutes. It's contagious. You'll get it. You downloaded the realest. Don't feel us, but get out. You not rocking with Defy Life, then what's your life about? I'm saying never done nothing for you. Told you. On to the show. Huh? I'm gonna let this ride out though. This is the Defy Life. Welcome back to the Defy Life Podcast, powered by the Defy Life Podcast Network. This episode is sponsored by Bud Bottles, home of the Bud Bottle and the Bud Freshener. Please visit budbottles.com for your odor eliminating needs. Thank you for listening. You can find us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, GoDefyLife.com, and everywhere your favorite podcasts are available. As always, we encourage you to like, subscribe, and give us a 5-star rating whenever you listen. You can also find us on all social media platforms at Go Defy Life. This is episode 110, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, J.R. Glymph, joined as always by my wonderful co-hosts, Alvin Glymph, Thomas Stevens, Gerald Hedrick, West Coast J. How's it going today, Pooh?
Man, it's going well. Glad, happy, ecstatic to be back. What's good, gentlemen?
Good, man. Welcome back.
Welcome back, bro.
You gone for 6 months. New digs, new co-hosts, new intro music, all kind of shit. You don't know what's going on. We got to give you a
Nah, I really don't.
So, and by the way, Yoshi's not here, so don't be looking for him. He got a new office.
Wow. Yeah, I just realized you said no Yosh.
Right. Yeah, man. So welcome back, man. It's good to have you back.
No doubt. As well. Ditto.
No doubt. All right. Alvin Glymph, how's it going today, sir?
It feels good to have Pooh back. All these changes was done just for him. Like, did we? Ooh. I'm just saying, like, it just feels like everything happened all at once. He coming back. We got new music, new co-hosts. What the hell going on? It's all for Pooh and we don't know it. This is an
that kid that made new contract demands.
Hey.
That's what it seems like.
Hey,
I ain't coming back till y'all change the music. If Yosh on this show,
get rid of Yosh. Get rid of Yosh.
Okay, I'm sorry, man. I had to do what I had to do.
Get out.
When y'all hear me again, y'all won't hear Yosh no more. It's just that simple.
Yeah, the kids say got an owner's mentality, all kind of stuff. I don't know what he's talking about.
Send him back to coach's corner.
I hate to bust it up. I know we had a whole nother storyline. Like Yosh was just going off because he was the dude. I hate to bust everybody's bubble, listeners, but now we know the reals was really going.
Right.
Who is Antonio Brown?
Yeah, throwing his weight around. Oh man.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, wow.
Well, just be glad he let you come back from Africa, Al.
I'm saying, I'm glad I beat him back.
That's right.
I think stayed another week.
Yeah. And hey, give him a week or two. He might drop it. Go back to Africa line on you. You don't know. He might.
Yo, wow.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yo, wow.
Money. What's good, my man?
Hey, yo. Hey, tell him why you mad. Tell him why you mad. First of all, Yo, hey, Jay ain't let me rap on the intro, and Jay ain't let me rap on the intro. I ain't happy about it, but I wanted to save that. It's a dope intro. I hope y'all enjoy it. But I ain't get to spin on it. It's okay. I'm gonna drop a couple of ad libs that y'all don't know about a little later. Y'all already know, man. Hey, the real is back. It's 2-4 Tuesdays. How y'all doing this week?
I think it's good, man. Yeah.
Good, brother.
Okay, I can't complain. It's is this the first time we all been on Coach J beneficial?
Pooh ain't never on. Hey, speaking of Pooh ain't never on.
Whatever.
Hey,
Pooh for nothing, just add it.
Right. Speaking of Pooh never being on. Hey, my brother. Hey. I was taking it personal a little bit that you wasn't on whenever I was on. But I'm glad you're back. Oh, I agree with Al. It's good to have you back, bro. It's good to have you back.
No doubt. I appreciate it. And I do want to give shout out to the intro. The intro, mad fire. I let my son hear it, and he was like, "Oh, that's Uncle Jay." And I was like, "Yeah, he rap a little bit.
Go ahead. Hey, I don't know. They appreciate it though. The shit almost brought me to tears when I got the text back from Pooh that says, "Oh shit, my dog's spitting again."
He's spitting again, yeah.
Hey, yo, but when I tell you that again, like that 8 bars, I was out of shape as fuck. I ain't like I sat down at my desk like, yo, I'm about to go ahead and knock this shit out. You know what I'm saying? It's 8 bars. Shit gonna take 15 minutes.
Right.
Shit took me 3 days.
Oh God.
And well, it took me 3 days because the first the first 2 bars from each, like the previous six verses, got thrown in the trash. So it took me a while to get started. Like I was like, I don't like the way this shit started, and either I was dope as fuck back in the day, or I remember myself being dope as fuck back in the day. Because them first 2 lines off the first 6 pages, I was just like, that ain't you. That ain't up to par. So I kept throwing shit away, and finally came together. And then once I knew what I was gonna end it with, of course, with if you ain't rocking with Defy Life, what's your life about? Everything else kind of flowed. So appreciate it. But it was I thought it was time. We all thought it was time to drop some new music. Like we said, it's a lot of new things going on around here, and we as Al said, when he called me a couple weeks ago, I'm sick of hearing Keon's fucking voice. So get a new song on. Nah.
That was off the record, yo. That was off the record.
Oh, was it? My bad.
Hey, at least it wasn't Pooh demanding it, because I thought it was Pooh demanding the song.
Oh wow.
Hey, for real though,
man.
if you across the network, these intro songs are fire. Like, oh man, like the level of production is crazy. Shout out real quick to all the shows on the network. Shout out to all the listeners. You guys have really encouraged us, supported us, and made us move the needle on our production game. And we just appreciate it. We do this for y'all, man. Shouts out from me to y'all.
Hey, absolutely, man. Kudos and ditto to that. West Coast J, man, we ain't checking in with you. How you doing?
Man, I'm over here echoing money sentiments like that's that shit that got me mad, son. You know what I'm saying? That's that shit that fucked me up, son.
Tell her why you mad, son.
Jay on the track, you know what I'm saying? You on a speedboat, going on where the fuck is he going, yo?
You even put me on the song, B. You put me on the song.
No anthem, no intro, no none of that.
I got John Blaze shit.
Shout out to the bad rapper.
No doubt. Oh man. All right. So in the words of Mike Tomlin, we have finally rid ourselves completely of Keon Small. There has been a cleansing on the Defy Life podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
Damn.
Shout out to you real quick, Keon, man. Them other boys don't miss you. I miss you.
No, man. Shout out. I was getting there, man. You know we gotta fuck with him even if he ain't here. But Keon, man, appreciate it. We thank you for your no doubt. He knows it's all love, but this thank you, Keon, for your 2 years of service, and I go kick rock, sir.
No doubt. No, peace.
Eat it.
Oh man, what have you done for me lately? Oh man, well, before we of course we get into the meat of the show, just want to do a little bit of house cleaning, of course. So no new patrons this week, but we had a bevy of them last week. So yeah, I said bevy. I'm dropping SAT words on y'all. But yeah, so we'll let y'all slide with none this week. But we do have a new show on the network, so we did want to welcome Big Sis, Trina White, and the host of Hey Sis, How Was It? The first episode was dope. As Money said, the intro was dope. Her logo was dope. So everything about it. So, Trina every week or every couple of weeks will be reviewing and rating black businesses, products, and services, and she will be building a relationship with those, giving direct links of how to order those products. So really, really dope concept, and I'm interested in learning more. So I've already put my order in for True Laundry Detergent, thanks to Trina. So, so welcome, Trina, to the Defy Life family. It's good to have you on board. Let's keep this train moving. And we got a lot more things, coming down the pike. We got the new Staley in English T-shirts are available. Trina shirts are available too. The Hey Sis, How Was It shirts. The Staley in English has a new logo. They shirts are available on Defy Life gear. Take a Knee from Marvel in DC has a new logo.
Their new logo is so fire.
Right. And their T-shirts, new T-shirts are now up on Defy Life gear. And the Fantasy Beast has now their T-shirts. Thomas Stevens, Gerald Hedrick. Y'all got Fantasy Beast shirts up on the Defy Life gear. So
I saw that.
Yeah. So
I saw that. Now we got great news. Now we about to be able to launch into our little inter-network contest. Yo, I'll tell everybody about that this week.
Right. So
yeah.
So things are. It's always good to see the growth and to keep it moving. So yeah, y'all want to rock with your favorite podcast, your favorite podcaster, or the network as a whole, or Defy Life as a whole. So it's something out there for everybody, for men, women, kids, little babies. Go check out defylifegear.com and get your gear. So we definitely on a roll with this thing. So now we got that out the way. We're gonna jump into the news. All right. So Al, I know you're familiar because I think we've talked about this briefly before. But you're familiar with the Central Park Five, right?
Very familiar. I was a teenager when it's happening.
Right. And so Netflix just released a limited series. I think it's 5 episodes, about an hour and a half each. Just telling the story, the well-deserved telling of the story of the Central Park Five. And everybody else, Money, Pooh, Jay, y'all familiar with the Central Park Five?
Yes.
Okay. So Netflix.
I haven't watched the new Netflix documentary, but I am very familiar with the story.
Okay. So I got no like precursor that this was coming out. It was just like a time when I was chilling. I was like, let me see what's new on Netflix. It's very rare that I get to sit down and take time to watch stuff. So once I started watching it, I couldn't stop. And it was like any good telling of a story. Like I was pissed, I was sad, I was elated that they finally got their story told. It's an amazing. Ava DuVernay directed it. Amazing job by her. So kudos to that entire project. Al, have you watched the When They See Us yet?
I have not.
Okay.
I'm supposed to be sitting down and watching it with my wife.
Okay.
So I haven't done that yet.
So from yours, since you were like there in it pretty much. What were your thoughts? What are your thoughts generally around the Central Park Five?
I think generally speaking, I look at that incident as overall as just another form of police brutality. It is just, it's just an example of the excessive force, in this case, their interrogation and their just the corruption with the police and the district attorney to railroad some dudes, to 5 guys, in response to the public's mania. That's kind of how I remember it, and it's honestly kind of like, whenever I think about that time, it's just kind of personal, emotional, because it was really a scary time living in the city to be a young black male. Just because it was kind of like open season how the public kind of looked at us because of what they thought these guys did, how they was being portrayed in the media. And again, this is 30 years ago, so like everything is different in terms of technology, media, the newspapers, and the what you saw on TV kind of determined the narrative. There was no social media, people's other videos where people could respond and comment and lift up another voice. It was just what the mainstream was pushing that was driving this narrative. And I mean, honestly, I remember it like it was, yesterday. I mean, this is 89. I'm a rising junior, so I actually, when it happened, I was up in college. But so I kind of came back to the city in the midst of the craziness. Wow. As they, then you could just kind of feel the heat. I mean, it's a New York City. If you've ever been in the summer, in the city in the summer, it's a whole nother vibe, a great vibe, but also a different vibe because everybody's there. Kids are playing. It's hot as hell. You stuck on top of each other. You sweating. People angry. And it was tense. So it just added to the normal tension of the summer. That summer, I was a gypsy van driver. I was a dollar van driver because I couldn't get a job. So my hustle was I was driving my mother's van on the bus lines. I was doing dollar van driving. So you heard it on the radio. You heard it in the people talking, in the van. It was what was the topic of that summer. And the other thing I kind of remember is like how, because the victim was a white female, like that was one of the, I guess maybe because I was raising my consciousness in college, that was kind of the first time I kind of noticed all of the attention that mainstream America placed on a white woman. Right. Like that white woman concern that goes on in our country, you still see it today. Shit, they looking for somebody right now. Like she the only person missing, right? That's what was happening in the city. That was something also I noticed, like, yo, this city gone crazy because these black males, these males of color is how we thought, and they how they portrayed them was like they was wild, like even the term wilding, right? So like it was all on the newspapers. Wild, they made up a word because what really happened, like that word wilding, WILDING, Google it if you want to. It has now become defined as like just gangs of youth wilding in the street. If you want to say, oh, they wild, but what really happened, how that word became this word, is back in the day we used the word wilding. Yo, they was wilding, like just wilding in the streets. You wilding out, son. And white mainstream media, they took that word and just made up a word and like, oh, they wilding. Those 5 guys were wilding and they attacked that girl, and now that became the word. And you just sitting there like, damn, y'all portraying us like gorillas. Y'all stealing our language and fucking it up. Like this shit is just, it was just a mad scene. But then to become a grown man and then realize at the end of the day, these motherfuckers was framed, like to then look back at it and like what happened to those guys, what happened in this city, and at the end of the day, it was on some old bullshit. it just, again, like I said, just another form of police brutality. And coming from a city that is just known for fucking up black people, and from the police perspective and not getting guilty verdicts. I mean, you could go from Diallo all the way to Gardner. Like, there's just been a long string of New York City cops doing men of color, boys of color, real dirty, real wrong. And it ain't no justice when it comes to the New York City PD. For really, it's just us. It's not justice. It's just us. They have a whole other way of doing policing up there, and a lot of it starts with going upside the head of young boys of color. That's how they clean up the streets. And in this case, they responded to the public mania of, oh my God, this white woman is in a coma. We got to do something. Oh, they did it. Throw the book at them. Even our president, Donald Trump, was talking about giving them the death penalty. I mean, so it was just a crazy time. And again, it's real personal to me because I was just a young black male living that shit. And I'm glad they out, and I'm glad they got their story told. And that's just what I remember.
All right. And Al's from New York, by the way, people.
Oh, because back in the day when I grew up in New York, right?
Oh, man. Yeah, that's dope. Like, that you were in it, like, you know, you were that close to it. Like, Money, how crazy is that? Like, something Al just touched on, that this happened in the early 80s. Well, in the early to mid 80s. But
right.
This is a conversation we could still have pretty parallel to this,
absolutely,
to this day. Even the Donald Trump connection, like, how crazy is that we are always told to get over it and get past it, but nothing's really changed.
I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. As Al was talking, you know, I was kind of, you know, because outside of, you know, aligning myself with that type of feeling of being a black man in America, I can't speak with the same type of passion that Al can, because he was kind of there. But as he was speaking, what kind of hit home to me is, I know I've read at least 4 or 5, maybe 6 articles from news outlets all over the country that, you know, police sheriff or district attorney or, you know, prosecutor block, they're sentenced to X amount of years in jail for basically selling black men to prison or convicting them for crimes that they know they were not a part of, or basically frame jobs. You know, I guess the sheriff in Florida that just got that time for actually instructing his police department to convict black people of break-ins and armed robberies and think crimes that they just did not commit. So you have to have blinders on, or just not be in the know, or like a willful ignorance to not know that this stuff happened in the 80s, it happened in the 90s, and obviously by these convictions, it's still happening now. I guess with the good thing about everyone having a phone and a camera and social media and all of that is these things are being fought more viciously, and you know, people, the cries of the public are definitely at the forefront of these lawmakers. Now, it's not perfect by any means. I just think when I can look in the paper and I can see convictions of sheriffs and prosecutors and DAs and all that for this very type of thing, I do get the sense or the feeling that as bad as it is, it's at least making baby steps in the right direction. So if it was it's happening now with all the technology that we have that enables us to prove that we're not out there like just, you know, it's just so because it fits that narrative that's out there about black men or black people in general that we're criminalistic, we're up to no good, those type of things. It just feeds into that narrative,
right?
And it's just good to see that those things are being fought against. But man, if it's happening now, it's rough to even think about the type of things that was happening in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and things like that, man. Where you could just, I mean, we know a white person could just say he did it, and you, boy, not only might you only go to jail, they might just kill you in the streets.
Absolutely.
So yeah, like, so when we say, and I don't want to go on, but I do want to make this comment. When we say, because I think all of us are over the age of 30, but when we say, as a black man, to have an education and to make it over the age of 30, that we really are blessed. I really don't think our counterparts in the white community understands how real of a statement that is for us.
True. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Pooh, what is your take on, like, this story finally being told? Like Al said, 30 years later. What's your take on all the people who, and we've seen countless other, black men get out of prison after it's proven that they were innocent. What is your take on all the countless stories that haven't been told, that people still assume that this is an anomaly?
Well, first off, I definitely just want to say, anytime America gets a chance to magnify the epitome of America's perfect suspect, which is a black man, it will. She will. Mm-hmm. It's just, I mean, from the beginning of time, they've just painted that picture. If it was done wrong in crime, in malice, it's a black man, or someone of color. Mm-hmm. So, but I'll just go out there to answer the question that you gave. It's sad to, like you said, to think that it is an anomaly, and you have count after count after count. This guy coming up, hey, no evidence, no this, no that. The guy wasn't even in town. The guy looks nothing like the guy. And you see videos popping up. Hey, this guy trying to arrest me, talking about I fit the description. They don't even have a damn description. How do I fit the description? They just had the video with the guy hooping, playing ball with his son, and the cop just walk up, asking for his ID. Right. So, I mean, it's hard for me to say it's at an alarming rate. That would be definitely an understatement, because it's been at an alarming rate 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I don't even know what I can't even think of an SAT word to describe the rate that it's at now. Right. So it's just I don't know the entire story of the Central Park 5. I remember bits and pieces, and I haven't watched the doc yet, but I'm definitely gonna get on it. I started it. My wife and I started it, and I knew exactly where it was going, and I was like, you know what, I'm not even geared to watch this right now. Mm-hmm. I'll just go ahead and check it later. But I'm definitely gonna get into it and check it out.
Cool. Jay, so this is interesting, like, because you grew up on an entirely different, like, on the opposite end of the country, but we still had the same conversation about dirty police. Because it's kind of become universal in that sense. Like, speaking from somebody who grew up on the West Coast, and do you notice any difference in the dirtiness of dirty cops on the West Coast versus, like, New York City? Or is that shit just, they dirty, they just dirty?
Man, listen, the Bay is the home of the Black Panthers, mm-hmm. which were initially designed specifically to police the police.
Right.
Like they literally just stood in the neighborhood, and anytime a police officer would pull over somebody in the hood, 5, 6 of them would stand at least 10 feet away and just watch the police do their job, just to make sure that that brutality that was consistent, that was constant, that was still going on, wasn't going on. Because it's different when they've got an audience. Mm-hmm. And so that was the whole purpose of them initially, was to protect their community from the police that were supposed to be protecting the community.
Right.
Now, to answer your question directly and as simply as possible, there's no difference. Mm-hmm. It's everywhere. Right. You feel me? LA had riots over it.
Right.
You know, the Bay had the gun laws that we currently, quote unquote, enjoy are as a result of the Black Panthers' actions.
Right.
Or the backlash against the Black Panthers' actions, rather. So there's not a difference. Like everywhere you go, what's the old song? Every hood, it's a hood in every city. Every hood look the same. Every hood do the same things. Like no matter where you go, you're gonna be able to find the same situation. And the systematic racism situation is just that. It's systematic.
Right.
And so if it's on the major networks, well, then it's now been disseminated all the way through. You know, the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Examiner, those were William Randolph Hearst's. So he already is notorious for being notorious.
All right.
So we got all of the same problems that everybody else got.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's for one, I'm grateful for like storytellers like Ava DuVernay to be able to get these stories out to the masses, and to have, for one, having the gall to tell it, and for Netflix to having, you know, for allowing those stories to be told. But then also these stories to be told from about our stories as black men and as black people without having to always dredge up slavery. Like that's the only story that we got. And so when the light is able to be shed on, you know, things that happened before slavery or after slavery or until this day, that allows people to see that our history didn't start with chattel slavery, and that even after slavery, there's a lot more stories that need to be told, and that things have gotten better in some senses. They've also remained the same in a lot of senses. So, kudos to this entire project, because it's dope, and we'll revisit this once everybody gets a chance to watch it. So we'll talk about the actual project later this week. And yeah, Al, you mentioned the word wilding. That was kind of a prevalent part in one of the episodes, as was Donald Trump, and it's crazy. So we'll revisit it next week once everybody gets a chance to watch it, and because I'm anxious to get you guys' opinion on it.
Okay.
So,
fair enough.
Let me West Coast Jay, you mentioned how the Bay is like the home of the Black Panthers. How is that history fact celebrated locally? You know, like most of us look at Black Panthers as such a, you know, this great part of our history, and you know, so the be in the place where they were created, is that any different? Is it like reinforced and lifted up for young people to know that history? What's that like out there?
Good question, man. That is a good question. It's a lot. It's not necessarily celebrated in the sense that the schools that I went to, and the neighborhoods that I was in school in particular, they made it a point to make sure that we were aware. They made it a point to make sure that we kept it alive and kept, you know what I mean, kept the spirit of it still around. But it wasn't, again, the Hearst family does a good job of controlling media, and they ran the two major newspapers. So it was basically it was a lot like they tried to sweep it under the rug so that it wasn't paid attention to nearly as hard as it could have been, or it's not celebrated like if you go to Oakland, yeah, the history is deep and it's rich there, but in San Francisco, you got to be in certain places for it to happen, and generally people don't go to those places because they find them unsafe. So it's a double-edged sword is the easiest way to describe it. Like it's the those of us that know about it, like my aunt was a participant, so I got a little bit of extra history, but there's a lot of people that got none whatsoever. So like we also in the 80s, like I was a kid in the 80s, so the Central Park 5 was, until this documentary came out and all of this, like I was 8, 9, so I wasn't in any way paying attention to it. But now as an adult, going back and looking back, like I've had to go back and re-educate myself. I've had to go back and learn where these things come from. You know, learn how the Black Panther Party, because of them showing up in Sacramento with shotguns, brandished that the NRA got most of its power because of that. Like they got their power specifically because the way California came down on, in particular, the Black Panthers, but the whole point was to disarm the Black community. But in particular, they came down citing the Black Panthers as the catalyst for all of this. Now, once they did that, the NRA, on the other hand, was kind of floundering up until that point where they were like, well, they took them from the blacks. Who's to say they ain't going to take them from us next? That's where the NRA got their initial boost. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like a springboard for them to just be like, what do farmers? Were they going to tell us that we can't shoot varmints anymore? They going to tell us that we can't shoot our guns anymore? Like that's where they got their initial push to become the lobbying power they are now. So like I said, the Black Panthers' history, from our perspective, it's difficult to find an accurate depiction of it. Like because of the way that it was always been portrayed in the media, the things that you have to find to actually get a good, this is what for real, or this is what happened, here's the perspective that from on the ground versus here's the perspective from up on high looking down at the masses and definitely trying to vilify the Black community. That's most places when you look for history upon especially the Black Panther Party in particular, when you look for that history, that's the perspective you get of it, is that you don't get the perspective of we're trying to make sure our community can remain safe. You don't get all of it's like when we were talking about Chicago, I was like, we always hear about the violence. We don't ever hear about the youth centers. We don't ever hear about the people that are actually sitting there trying to help. So we don't ever get the positive things that they were doing for the community. We don't ever get that. We only get angry Black men in berets brandishing weapons. That's all we ever get. We only get that picture of Huey P. sitting in that throne. That's all we ever get. But I actually was blessed enough. I was given but I was told about a book called Black Against Empire, which gave me it broke down all kinds of different perspectives. So we got the actual that they spoke to the remaining living founding members of the party. They spoke to they went through all of the news clippings and gave this is how it was portrayed. Now this is what they said actually happened. Now this is what actually happened. You know what I mean? So it's it's very, very, very in depth. And so, like, if anybody's interested in reading it, like I said, I do have a copy of it. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
But yeah, man, to answer your question though, like it wasn't given the way that we feel pride about it is not how it's portrayed to most people.
Gotcha. All right. Well, yeah, we'll definitely touch some more on this next week, man. Anxious to see what y'all got to say. Didn't we just finish talking about some blatant bigotry at Taco Bell the other week?
Yeah, that was Taco Bell. Remember, you get diarrhea and bigotry on the side.
Right. Well, blatant bigotry has made its way to Holiday Inn Express. So a
hotel motel. So I'll play the clip for you, and we'll talk about it. So the guy you hear talking is a Holiday Inn Express employee who was on the phone taking the credit card information of a lady who was going to stay there. Her family was already checked in, and as she was hanging up the phone, she thought, I don't know if she thought he'd hung up or if she gave a damn if he did. She called him a fucking nigger and hung up the phone. And so this is her showing up to check into her room.
But you called me a fucking nigger.
To stay here. My mother died.
I understand that, but you called me a fucking nigger. No,
I'm sorry.
You weren't sorry when you said it on the phone.
Listen, there was
no,
people
but
screaming
at the end of the day, in the climate that we live in today, society,
I was sorry.
I understand that, but it's above me now.
I need a room tonight.
Well, there's the Best Western next door.
No, please, let me hear. My daughter's here.
I'm sorry, but I mean, I was on the phone when you said it.
I said, I'm sorry. Please, I've had a horrible day.
And I had a horrible time when hearing that.
He won't let me in.
It's above me. She called me a fucking nigger.
Sir, my grandma just died.
I understand that, but it's above me.
Please let me.
It's above me. Sorry.
I got my
the
credit
Best
card.
Western is next door.
Sir, the rest of our family
I understand that, but it's above me.
Please. I apologize.
She said what she said.
I understand that.
I understand.
She's very...
Yo. So, she gets there, and of course, again, the white lady tears start flowing. And then her daughter shows up, and more white lady tears start flowing. But kudos to this dude for remaining calm. And he did his due diligence and called the owners of the property and explained what happened. And they backed him and told him, do not give that lady a room. They also told him to direct her to the Best Western next door, which he did. So kudos to them for backing him. And kudos to him for recording it, because as we've seen before, if he didn't record it, he may have been fired and left hanging out to dry. So again, man, like, what the fuck is wrong with people? Why can't they just, like, what is it about this word where they just feel like they just can't let it go? Will they ever be able to, like, not address? And when I say they, of course, I don't mean every white person, so don't jump down my back, but I mean the ones who use it. So, what do they think?
I mean, well, first off, she's just asking for sympathy. You know, my dad just died. I just need the room, and so now you want this gentleman to be sympathetic to you.
Right.
You know, after you done blasting him and calling him a fucking nigger. And then I guess the daughter has arrived, and she's like, but sir, she's very sorry. Like, just completely dismissing calling him a fucking nigger. So, but you know, before I even get to that, I'm like,
I understand that. I understand that. But our whole family's here,
right?
Right.
If I'm with my man or whoever else, and they be like, yeah, you fucking honky, you fucking crack of trash. So, and we trying to get a room, and they heard that, and they were like, look, I can't rent to this guy. He just said that. I'd be like, bro, man, let's bounce. You was wild for even saying
right.
that. You know what I'm saying? Like you were wild for even saying that. Let's go. I'm not gonna try to sympathize and get us in there, and this guy just dogged your character and then insulted you.
Right.
Like just the gall of her the daughter, like, well, sir, she's very sorry. The entire family's here. Like, I just can't even get past that point. But what was the question, Jay? I'm sorry.
I guess that's to anybody, to all of y'all. I'm just opening it up to everybody, man. Like,
that's that shit they got me mad saying.
Right.
At what point, like, because of course we hear it all the time. Well, I hear black people saying it. Why can't I hear rappers saying it? What the fuck is it about this word where they just have to say it? Like, I think to them it holds more power than it does to us at this point.
It's just for one, we can't relate because we don't speak from that place of privilege where you can just make that type of statement and then turn around immediately and say, I'm sorry, our whole family's here though. Can I get
right.
Can I please just get the room? Like Pooh what you're saying, like the very shame of in the sheer, like, we would take our own L. Like, oh, you know what? We probably better go to the Best Western because we was just all the way.
My bad.
So can I?
Yeah, sure.
Go. Like, honestly, I'm sitting here and I'm always putting on other shoes, right? And I hear y'all, but I'm like, if I'm on the phone and a female was to hear me say, man, that fucking bitch took forever to run my credit card. And I'm talking to my brother, right? And I get to the hotel and she's like, yo, you called me a fucking bitch. I heard you. You was talking to your brother. You said, you referred to me and called me a fucking bitch. I ain't gonna let you go upstairs and be with your family right now. I'm not taking that fucking L. I'm not gonna say you're gonna have to call the cops to throw me out, because I'm not that dude either. But it ain't just gonna be like all right, you right, I was wilding or wilding to use the white people.
So you gonna make them rent you a room? How you gonna do that?
But it sounds like her family there. So
he didn't say you can't go upstairs because they already got rooms. He said you can't get your room.
I'm not giving you a room, right?
Okay, well, either way.
Like, he can't stop her from going upstairs.
No,
I would have just
you
been
have
like,
the right. You have the right to deny me service, and all. I mean, I believe in that. In every sense, in every restaurant. I'm not saying that, again, like I said, you ain't gonna have to call the cops to get me out. But I'm not just gonna turn around and be like, you know what? I did say bitch, and I can understand how you was insulted, so I'm just gonna take that shit and walk. No, fuck that. I'm tired. I just had a rough day. Yo, I apologize. Yo, real talk. Give me a fucking room. I know I did say that, and I was tripping. My bad. I'm gonna advocate for myself. Is all I'm saying. I wouldn't.
That's right, and that's all she was doing. But honestly, I mean, had it been me, I would have just been like, well, shit, fuck it, Pooh. I'm gonna just use your pullout count. You already got a fucking room. I've done that too. We'll just split the money. We'll just split the money on the room. Like, and I would have went upstairs about my merry way. It wouldn't even have been no whole video about me crying to get the room. I would have been like, oh well, fuck it. My whole family got rooms upstairs. Either way, I'm gonna be in this bitch. So, but that once again, some people have so much privilege they can't even pivot. So
Good point.
What Jay was saying, speaking to the climate, it's just the climate. It's just the climate where people feel empowered. We've talked about this multiple times on the show with our president, our current like, and geopolitical systemic issues that's out there. Like, people feel empowered to just make those type of comments. And, once again, it's not as bad as Poolside Betty or whatever, like, but because we haven't really had one of those in a minute. But I guess this is kind of in that same vein of, like, people just feeling like their privilege gives them the right to just do shit that's out of pocket. So here's just another example of the climate and people feeling empowered by things that they perceive to see that, I can finally speak on those inner feelings that I have, and it feels good to them.
I think this might be a little bit worse because she had the opportunity to not only have a conversation on the phone, say what she wanted to over the phone, but then have the nerve to show up in this man's face like ain't shit happened.
The gall, right?
Yeah,
just showed up.
Jay, that's why I don't think they're gonna stop for a long time using that word.
Right.
To answer your question.
It's ingrained. It's ingrained in them.
Yeah, it's taught.
It's definitely learned behavior. And,
it's taught.
And like
it's taught and it's being what's the word?
Condoned.
Condoned. That's the word.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Right.
I like
it's
that.
definitely condoned.
Yeah.
Our president is not, leadership. Not just our president. It ain't just him. It's a lot of people.
Yeah, and parents, and so it's learned behavior from
when he was on
CN,
when he was having that chief of staff meeting, and he said, "God, why can't we get immigrants from countries that aren't shitholes?" Like referring to Black heritage nations, that was as close to calling Black people niggers as you can get without actually doing it. Like, so that tone
shows you what he thinks about us.
Oh yeah, that shows you exactly what he thinks about us.
Right, and that's the part that insults our intelligence, is that just because you don't say fucking nigger doesn't mean that like we can't read through your tone and we can't decipher what you're getting at without you coming out and saying it. So that always gives them, because it is condoned, it gives them the wiggle room to say, hey, I've never done anything racist. Trump has never said anything racist because he hadn't just come out and said fucking niggers in public.
Right.
And
that we know of. Yeah.
Right. And so for situations like this, because I get you, Al, you would show up and you would advocate for yourself. She wasn't even, and again, kudos to him for remaining calm and handling the situation, before she even got there and having a game plan. Because that's the whole point in this anyway, is for them to get a reaction out of us and make us look like the angry niggas. That's what the whole point is. And so he didn't take the bait, and what it doesn't allow her to do is feel empowered behind her actions, because somebody, like he said, it's above me now. Now it made her feel like, well, shit, it ain't just some angry nigger that's mad at me. Now I got to actually deal with somebody who I have to listen to, because she didn't think she actually had to listen to him. He didn't make no decisions in her mind. If he had just said, you can't stay here, man, you call me a nigger. And she would have.
Kudos to his company and leadership.
Right, exactly.
Shout out to them, yeah.
For backing him up and taking a stand.
Right.
And the more people that do that, the more counties that fire people for saying, "Fucking Mexicans, I'm not gonna move your truck," and the more Costco's that fire people for saying where's your pool pass, like, and the more owners that say, oh yeah, don't rent, like, the more that happens. So when you said, I think it's going to continue to happen for a long time, like, I still think it's going to happen, but it's going to go back to being like this covert thing that like racist people just kind of whisper about, like, because before, like, we as Black people always knew that it was a segment of people out there that ain't fuck with us. But it was like in the shadows. It was like they like whisper it, like it was just like faintly on the breath. But we always knew it was there because they would like overtly and covertly do the shit to where we would know, but like everybody else wouldn't. Now that we have our guy in office and that tone is just out there, like, this shit's okay. This shit's okay. I can walk up to a white person after shooting people in the store and say, it's okay, we don't shoot our own. Like that. This shit that's happening right now is insane.
Right.
Yeah, we're in a different place overall. with the overt racism. I think Jay was joking about it the other day, but it's missed. Now it's got to be covert. It's got to be hidden. It's got to be. I think it was the late great Patrice O'Neal had a bit about it. He was talking about it's that shit we can't prove.
Right.
Right. Well, that's how it used to be.
Right. And
now it's like I'm in your. I don't like you. I'm in your family. I'm gonna get on CNN and say I don't like you because you fucking black. You're a fucking nigger and shit. We in Charlottesville with our fucking tiki torches. We don't give a shit about what you think.
That's crazy. Like to think like they wasn't wearing masks. Like these were just white boys. Like yes, I don't care. Yeah, I work here. You know, I mean, like you are representing somebody's job, somebody's family. You somebody's dad. You somebody's brother. You somebody's son. You don't give a damn. You out there screaming, "I hate niggers." It's like,
do something.
I'm proud. I'm proud. Y'all can see my face. I don't have to wear no mask.
That's right. Do something. Now, and once again, I'll say, a lot of them people went to work and by Tuesday they ain't have no fucking job. Now, granted, they probably have new jobs now, but like I said, the more that shit happens, true. The more that shit happens, and people are like let you know like that shit ain't cool. Like you better put that shit back under the mask. Because and it's not any better under the mask. It's just that's where I'm used to it being. So as weird as it sounds to say it, I'm comfortable with it being there. But I'm also comfortable with it being in my face because I at least know how you feel.
Yeah, honestly, I judge them, one by one. I know, I just understand that in this country, at any given point, I could be dealing with a white person who's racist. You know what I mean? Like I just know that's a possibility, and that's just my reality. And I don't assume they are not. But I also just understand that's the country I live in. And
look, let's be honest. It could be anybody that's racist. Like, doesn't necessarily even just have to be white people. There's, everybody legitimately, at this point, like Money said, at this point, anybody who don't like anybody just saying that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The same dude. So I've gone a little further. The dude who it's above him. The dude is gay and against trans people.
Right.
So like you could say whatever you want at this point. It doesn't matter. He came out and said, I'm gay and that's cool. I just don't understand it and I'm not with it. With regard to trans people. Like, wait a minute, what? Look.
Yeah.
I love the line, it's above me. I love that line. That cracks me up. That could mean so many different things.
It's above me now.
It's above me.
I might have to start using that too my damn self.
Yeah. That's classic. Hey, Jay, that's a T-shirt, Jay.
Yeah,
real for real. It's above me now. It's above me now.
That's
but
classic.
that and the comedy in it though is listening to the daughter not skip a beat.
Right.
Like, she's in there. She just shows up. Wait, what's going on? He won't let me in. Well, she called me a fucking nigger. Well, sir, my grandfather just died. Just not. She what?
No.
Oh, she's sorry.
I understand. First, at least acknowledge. At least let's at least give her a pat on the back for saying, "I understand."
Right.
I feel you.
She said, "He's sorry, sir. He's sorry, sir." She's sorry.
He's sorry.
He's sorry.
Like, that's my favorite part right there. To be honest, that had me dying laughing. Like, what do you? She said what? And I could just imagine the look. Like, damn it, mom.
Damn, mom.
Right.
That's Roseanne Barr's daughter and shit. Like,
I'm telling you, the most fascinating part of that story is she didn't just tell her mother, "Mama, I got a room. Fuck it, come upstairs. I'll sleep on the floor." Like,
she didn't want her sleeping with her either.
She didn't want her in the room.
She be calling her all kind of foul shit at night.
Yeah, but at that
she might have a
point,
black husband, and she like, nah, I know how you and him get down.
Right.
You need to have your own room because you and Jamal ain't gonna get down like that.
She's like, your mama sleeping on our couch. Why? Why your mama? Oh.
Right. So she called the dude downstairs a nigga. What? Wait, say that?
Your mama gotta go.
They said the whole family was there. The whole family don't want to end up.
I don't know, but
guess not.
Considering the fact that the company the owner had already backed him up and said, "Don't service this woman," I doubt if she would have been allowed to go up. They probably would have gotten to a point where they called the police to remove her from the premises.
Oh wow!
Because it wasn't like this dude making this decision. The owner said, "Don't service." So right, so she probably wouldn't have been able to pull that loophole.
Well, maybe not. That would have been interesting though.
Would have, and I doubt if she just sounding by her voice. I don't know if she's still agile enough to dodge the police.
Shit, the police would have came out that young man.
Yeah, he would end up in jail.
Self shot.
Yeah.
I got a 10.
Is this him? Like, wait a minute.
I got a 10:30 out here.
Ma'am, is this the one that's bothering you? Like, sir, I called.
Exactly. We got a black suspect bothering an old white lady.
Yeah. We got a fucking nigga. We got a fucking nigga harassing the aisle.
Put your hands down. Bow, 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 bow.
What you doing behind that desk, boy?
Right. Go in that drawer and give me your ID.
Right.
That's right. Prove to me you work here.
Yeah,
prove
to me you work here.
Right. He got a gun.
But why are you bothering this old white lady?
Hilarious.
Oh man. Well.
So now we can go to Holiday Inn and Taco Bell.
Right. And I'm sure there's a Taco Bell next to the Holiday Inn. It always is.
Hey, did y'all see the video when the cop was like, turn the call, and the kid went to the key to turn the call off, and he was like, he got a gun.
Yeah.
He was like, yo, I ain't got no gun. Wait, you saw that video?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh man, that's crazy. He was like, man, I'm not turning the call off so you can shoot me. You just said I had a gun. He was like, I'm not turning. I'm not. Yeah. It's on video. Like his girlfriend or whoever was in the car with him was recording the whole thing. Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's not us and the police. That's not a safe scenario. I don't. That's why I was just telling you, Jay. For him to call, I wouldn't even call the cops.
No.
Fucking around and get myself shot. Like,
right.
Nah, man. These cops, man. You just never know, man. You just never know. They so scared. Like, oh, okay. So, and we always gotta have a gun. Like,
yeah. So, I'm sure next week there'll be other stories. And
absolutely.
We'll talk about it. It's just blatant bigotry all over the place. So, stay tuned. We'll talk about it some more next week. But on to some listener questions. Jay, we got 2 female questions this week.
Damn.
Yeah. 2 questions from the ladies. Right. Oh, man. Pooh, I'm going to start with you on this one, man. So, Nakia from Columbia wants to know. She says, my son wants to play football next season. He's 11 and small with an exclamation mark. Should I let him play?
Wow. 11 small. So that's going to give him 11 small. What's that, middle school? Maybe middle school?
Yeah,
maybe.
and based off of her asking the question, I'm assuming it's his first time ever playing, if she's asking the question.
First
like
time
5th
ever
grade.
playing.
Yeah, 5th, 6th grade.
If it's Pop Warner, I guess I'm kind of okay with him playing Pop Warner. If it's school ball, I don't think I'll let him play middle school ball. But like I said, if it's rec ball, I'll let him play that because those guys they're typically not monsters. you know. But middle school ball, no way. Travel ball, no way. But yeah, I guess I'll be pretty cool with it. But hey, have her to email us a picture of him. And let me see how small.
Yeah, let's see how small he is.
Seriously, because football season is approaching, man. Let me see how small this guy is before I really render the judgment.
What should she put in the picture to kind of give some like
Well,
reference to how small he is?
Put him next to
a football. Stand him next to the goal post.
Nah, just
lay him out between the 5 and the 10. Boy, lay down. Let's see how long you are. Like,
stand him up next to the company car. Stand him up next to the family sedan.
Next to the car.
I mean, just in the doorway. The doorway's fine with me. You can pretty much judge how big someone is in the doorway.
Yeah. Well,
and if you single, then send us a picture of you. So That's
what I was gonna say. I was waiting on one of y'all, you or Jay, to be like, just have him next to her. Like,
yeah, just throw yourself in the picture,
right? And then let us know, Nakia, for money and Jay's purposes. Let us know your dimensions, so we can know how big he is compared to you.
So that makes sense. That makes sense.
Nakia, just send your height, and your measurements and all that stuff, so we can get a kind of a gauge on how small the kid really is.
Right.
So, because we want to give you an honest answer. So,
no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Because I was always, is he like small and like fast, or is he just small and he wants to play, or is he like, does he have some skills? Because that would impact my advice. Like, is he just small and he wants to play because he likes the game, or like, is he small and he's like faster than everybody? He's got a little wiggle, that type of that stuff would impact my decision.
Or is he small and he should be a trainer?
That's a fair question. Should he go to the hoop court? Should he run some track? Should he do something a little bit more non-contact?
Y'all making me feel bad. I let my small 10-year-old son play football. And I made me feel bad.
I was forced to play.
And he played against some monsters too, man. I was a terrible parent, so I registered him late. So by the time I registered him, the only part where there was availability that they would take this small
he was a terrible parent.
Was Ben Hill.
Oh, God.
Ben Hill is like one of the oldest black traditional parks where monsters come out of that park. And I just pushed him in the deep end. For reference, I think Cam Newton played at Ben Hill. I wouldn't be surprised because they were ballers then, man.
Right. Oh man, yeah, Nakia. I feel her though, because my son been playing flag for a while, and I was never in a rush to have him play tackle. My youngest son, but he's 9 and he has his head set on playing. So after his flag season, I was like, first of all, my son's big for his age, and so I told him, all this shit about you playing flag and you're a receiver one play and you're a running back the next play and you get to be a cornerback, that shit's over. They're going to put your ass on the line and you're going to get smacked in the mouth every single play. So I'm going to let you play just so we can find out really quickly how much you want to do this shit. So, and I guess it's something that every parent, goes through when their kids first start playing sports and especially football. So, best of luck to you, Nakia. If you, I'll email her back, see if she wants to send us a picture of him and her.
Right. Hey, Jay, I'm about to throw in a completely unpopular opinion, but I'm like, nah. Don't let him play.
Right.
Now, there's 2 reasons why I'm going this direction. 1, we have way too much information about traumatic brain injuries. Way too much. So the earlier they start, the earlier it is for them to start getting concussions and not tell people about it.
Right.
2, you brought up flag football. At least see if he got some skills first. If he could shake somebody on a flag football field, maybe he got a little bit of a shot. But start with flag before you let him go full on pads, etc.
Yeah.
Right.
And flag will kind of give him a baseline of what to do. You know,
Right.
if he actually wants to play.
Where to line up, how to actually train for it, all the etc.
Exactly.
But it's a lot like lifting weights. You're not supposed to lift weights because you'll damage your body if you just start too early.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's about how I feel about this particular question.
Right.
Like I feel like 11's too low.
And he might be small. And I feel a little bit like Nakia J, is that the name?
Yeah.
I feel a little.
All right, Money felt that there.
I feel a little bit like she might be single because if she wasn't, like, she would just ask like the dad or her boyfriend or whoever.
Either that or we could be part of the decision. Like there could be an argument going on.
The hell they got to do with the hell they got to do with anything, Money?
I don't know.
Money's
trying to find something to do on Friday.
Right, Money. Hey, what else you gonna do on a Wednesday night? What else you gonna do on a Wednesday?
What else you got to do on a Friday? You know,
right?
Man, I'm trying to figure.
Damn, you gonna salt my game up like that?
Just like he did jump in though. hey, Money.
Yo,
money. That's that married dude interruption. What the fuck you mean?
Okay.
Hey, the kid gets pissed or something like that.
Since Pooh ain't had no fun, he's like,
that's like I do it, man.
What you mean the kid's single? You don't know nobody, man. Stop speaking on stuff you don't know about, Money.
I'm just trying to see what's going on with the little fella. You know what I'm saying? See, I'm just trying to gauge him to see if I can get him out there. And Money talking about, well, it might be, she must be single if she asking us.
Hey.
I mean, it's logical. I get it.
It's logical, yeah. Like we got her back. We got her back. That's what I'm saying. We got her back.
But on the real though, I do know a whole lot of dudes who coach only because they like to holler at kids' moms. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's
a thing.
Very common.
Right.
That is a thing.
A real talk. The dude that really taught me a lot about coaching. It was a younger cat, and my son was playing on his AAU team, and I was just like assisting one whole season. Man, that dude got busy with the
right.
That's the circuit. I'm like, that's what we do. Yo, he was very successful. I was like, wow.
Right.
Isn't Yosh a coach? Nah, I'm bullshit. I'm playing.
Thanks for proving my point, fool.
Shots fired.
I was really trying to channel a little bit of my inner Yosh. You know, I kind of felt the spirit of Yosh come upon me when I was saying that too.
Push that demon down.
True.
Fight, my brother, fight.
Oh shit! Well, Nakia, I hope we were able to lend some insight and give you a laugh. But whatever your decision is, all the best to you.
Money at defylife.com.
Go ahead. And
I just also say, don't be afraid to crush his dreams, though. Like if he ain't got no shot, like really long term, and he ain't getting no run, don't be. Football's a physical. You could get hurt.
Dude, the wear and tear on your body.
Do not feel. Go ahead and crush that boy's dream if you watch him after a season or two, and he need to be a. What'd y'all say? A trainer?
A trainer. But no, but that's what I was gonna say though.
You can't get off a season or two though. Y'all wilding.
Well, no, but that's what I was gonna say. Al said something. Al, you remember and Pooh, you may remember too. We had a similar conversation. This was before we started taking listener questions, but we were talking about letting our sons play football. And this is when Keon was still on. And Al, you said something just maybe in a year and a half, 2 years ago, that similar to what you just said. And it always made sense to me was if you, as a parent, you have to gauge, what kind of potential your kid has at whatever they're doing. Because of course they have kids, they can go pro in everything when you're 11. You know, you can be a doctor, a lawyer, and a football player when you're 11. So, as a parent, you kind of have to gauge that. And if they really have no future in it, and if they're not, sometimes you do have to pull the plug and say, "Look, man, this ain't for you. I'm gonna make this decision for you."
As a parent, I do have a regret with my son that
Don't pull the plug.
I gave up on soccer and allowed him to continue to play football. Football and soccer at some point began to compete in terms of the seasons. And he was like, all right, Dad, I'm going to give up soccer and just keep playing football. And he was pretty good at soccer. He had been playing soccer since he was 4. And, I think he could have really, really been good at it. And I was like, yeah, all right, since you want to play football, okay, cool. And that's the case.
How old was he when he made that decision, though?
How old was he?
Yeah.
9, 10.
Oh, yeah, that's too young for him to make that decision.
Yeah. But I will say this, 2 things. One, kudos to you, Al, for pushing any of our kids away from soccer. Secondly,
why would you want to do that? Soccer players get paid more than everybody else on earth.
They do get paid.
But if it's my kid, really,
really, really good too, like.
Right? And if it's my kid, that means I actually got to show up and watch you play whatever you playing. I ain't watching no fucking soccer game. So kudos to you, Al. Oh man,
I forgot. What's Coach J think? What's Coach J thinks soccer's like the romantic sport?
Right.
No,
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with romance. It has to do with everybody in the world plays it. Soccer will let you see the world. Football will let you see what?
No.
The middle of the country?
No. Soccer lets you see the world if you're in the 1%.
Right, correct.
And so football is that much better if you're in the 1%?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm saying as a person who's watching it, like if you, chances are this kid Nakia's son,
119 D1 schools,
right? The kid Nakia's son and any kid that we may know are not in that 1%. So it ain't gonna matter from that perspective to most of us. I'm speaking from a person who has to show up for games, watch practices. At least let me do something that I want to do. So that's the perspective I'm speaking from.
Because real talk, being a parent watching soccer and you don't know the rules,
oh God,
you don't know what to cheer for,
and they don't know what they doing.
Like, I can't even help you at home.
Right.
I'm saying it's possible, but it ain't like basketball and football and how you do all the other sports. So, but I still should have let him keep playing. I mean, I forced him to keep playing. That was a better decision. So, like I said, kill his dreams if you have to.
Have him join the golf team. Then Jay will go to every practice.
Don't kill his dreams. Don't kill his dreams.
Do they practice? They have golf practice? How you practice golf? I don't know.
I was on the golf team in high school. All I know is we got to leave like half of the school day for no reason.
Don't nobody want to let their kid be a golfer and be a thug and skip school and stuff. See how I take that leap? That's how they do it.
Right. See how you did that. See what you did there. See what you did there. Hey, it's above me, bro.
It's above me, man.
I love it.
Oh man, on Nakia again, man. Feel free to reach out and let us know what your decision is. And 2 years from now, and that's what I was gonna say, Al. Soccer actually, on average, has kids suffer more concussions playing soccer and cheerleading than they do in football.
Cheerleading and soccer. Yep, that much is true.
That is true.
That much.
Right. So
see if you can steer up to the basketball court. Damn.
Or as make that kid a kicker or a long snapper if he want to play football that bad. You make a lot of money.
I do that, Adam, because coming out of soccer and I saw you were small, you getting knocked out. I was like, yo, dog, a kicker might be your future, son. Yep. He wanted to play though, like the perception of a kicker. I couldn't help him see the long term benefits of like you'll still get to play, you'll be out there. Yeah. Nah, Dad, I want to tackle.
Yeah. So the trick is teach them how to
every now and then. Though.
They do, but the trick is this is one. My son don't want to be a kicker either, so I'm teaching him how to long snap. That's the trick. That's the trick because they still get the block, they still get the run down and make tackles on special teams. And they ain't getting pounded in the head 30 times a game. So
Every team needs one.
Right.
Hey,
you can play to U40.
What was that? The all three of them went to North. The Barth, the kickers.
Mm-hmm.
Man, all three of them went to the league. The brothers, man. When I tell you, I follow all of them on Instagram. But yachts, that NFL money's been good for kickers too.
Right.
I'm
kickers, punters. What's the punter family? There's a punter family in the NFL. They dad played punter. There's three of them that play for the Broncos. Copeland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't forget the crazy brothers out of the Buccaneers. Well, the two Spanish last name. The one that tore his ACL celebrating.
Yeah.
Grammatica. Yeah.
Martin.
So yeah, man. So we'll see. Let us know how it work out in the kid. Right.
Yeah.
Our next question is from Valerie in Duluth, Georgia. Valerie, good question.
Shout out to Duluth.
No, shout out to Duluth. Shout out to you, Val. Valerie wants to know. Well, Valerie says this. I think I kind of know, but what do you all do for a living exactly? Money. Let's start with you. You always like talking about your job. Tell Valerie what you do for a living.
Valerie, I work in software management. My company makes medical billing software platforms for hospital systems and radiology systems across the country. And I am the associate director of client services for that company. I run a $23 million a year department, so I'm always stressed out. And so this show is part of the things that helps me unwind. But yeah, lots of things to do, and high pressure scenarios, and always dealing with clients, and I have a team of 12 or 13 right now. So yeah, I always got something going on.
No doubt. And he's a gigolo on Sundays. West Coast Jay, tell Val what you do for a living, sir, if it's legal.
All right. Very little is the honest answer to that question. I work for a very large beverage corporation, and I do as little as I can for them to keep paying me. Pretty consistently, and then I'm a gigolo on Sundays.
Word. All right. Al, tell Val what you do for a living, sir.
Val, I am director of grants and for Metro Atlanta School District here in Georgia. So my department basically does four things. We are the department that we go after major grants. We find smaller grants and share them to all of the employees in the district so that maybe they can go after those grants at a school or within the central office. We train teachers, principals, school staff, district staff on how to write and manage grants. And then we also go after partners, and we establish relationships, maintain relationships, vet relationships for the district and for the schools. And when I'm not doing that, I also have a consulting business that started 15 years ago. My wife does most of it now. She's kind of the face of the franchise, but I like to make a little extra money consulting when I can. And I'm a program evaluator when I'm consulting, if I'm not training or speaking or something. So I help nonprofits, organizations, universities track their outcomes. And my wife does training. She trains for nonprofits. So that's how I make my money.
Right. And he also likes soft music and long walks on the beach. Pooh.
Yeah.
Tell Val what you do for a living, sir.
Val, what's good? This is Val. What's Val's name again?
Valerie.
Val.
Oh, Valerie. Oh, okay.
What's the name? And then say, what's the name?
What's Val's name?
What's Val's name again?
No, I was talking about the last name. I thought it was a guy Val because I know a guy Val. That's all. No, don't worry about it.
Batman.
Nah. She's cousin. She got a cousin named Val in Duluth, Georgia. So I thought it was the same. Yeah. Okay. But anyway, I am a behavior interventionist with the special ed program in ED high support, which is emotionally disturbed. So what I do is I go to what we want to do is outsource them in mainstream classes. So what I do is I go to the classes, I tally notes on them to see how many outbreaks they have, which is high emphasis with acting out, disturbing, not paying attention, or whatever. So I document that, and near the end of the week, I meet with the parents and their homeroom teacher to try to come up with a plan on keeping them mainstream and I guess keeping them in the classroom, because what we want to do is the outcome is getting them a high school diploma, because as long as they're in ED high support program, they're not on diploma track.
Okay. And you Gigolo on Tuesdays, right?
Nah.
I thought that's why you ain't been here for so damn long. But okay.
Nah.
Oh, you funny, Jay.
Oh man. Hi, Val. I am I'm Antoine, and I'm an Aquarius. No, I'm just kidding. I am a program manager and a project manager for Herbalife. So what I do, and let me know if you fall asleep, because my wife falls asleep every time I try to tell her what I do for a living. But anytime you see any changes that need to be made on labels or packaging or scoops in the powders or the teas, sachets, anything, any of those changes require projects. And so I work with all of North America and Puerto Rico and Jamaica and Canada and Trinidad and Tobago. So I handle that region, and anytime changes need to be made, I coordinate with manufacturers and label printers and art teams to make sure everybody's on their job and getting their tasks done in a timely manner. So when it's time for those new labels or new products to be released to the public, they are released in time. If they're not, I am held responsible for it, and I'm without a job because all these fuckers didn't do their job. So, yeah, I basically get the project started and make sure everybody's doing their stuff in a timely manner, and I end the projects. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Unofficially, I just defy life, baby. That's what I do. So, that's it. So, yeah, Val, good question. I don't know if we've ever addressed that on the show.
Great question.
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in how Val thought she knew that, because I didn't know most of that.
Well, I know, like, from...
That was a very interesting question. Like, I think I know. I was like, word? How you know? You stalked us? Like, how would you know?
Well, I think she may know, like, in general, especially around the teacher and education talk with Pooh and Yosh and you, Al, especially with Pooh and Yosh. I think that's maybe where she kind of gets an idea, because I don't think any of us have ever gone into detail as far as what we do. But when we talked about education and teachers, a lot of times Yosh and Pooh kind of get spotlighted. So
Gotcha.
Maybe that's where she kind of knew, because again, my wife don't even know what the hell I do, so I don't know how she could have known what I do. No. And then Jay worked for Jim Beam. It's a large beverage company or some shit. So I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted to disclose the company.
Right.
That's why he said a large beverage company.
Yeah, so I'm just
Minute Maid or some shit. Who I believe is owned by Coca-Cola, but still.
Right.
Yeah, bottom line, it could be anybody.
It could be. Could be. Yeah. Could be Ciroc. You never know.
Put it like this: y'all are all proud of your jobs. I'm not.
Hey, why you tripping? Why you tripping? I know who to go for my next loan. Al and Jay. Alex.
Well, we all know I don't make any money.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hey, it's well documented. Education, I don't make any money. What? You serious?
Oh, man.
That gigolo money is slow money
Right.
for sure.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that gigolo money.
That money's slow.
Oh, man. Well, damn good question, Val. You as well, Nakia. Nakia, let us know how everything goes with your son, whether it's now or if he plays in the near future. But thanks for these questions. We really enjoy these. If you want anything answered or addressed on the show, let us know. Hit us up on social media at Go Defy Life, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or you can email us at info@godefylife.com.
That's right.
So yeah,
Hey.
those are
And Nakia, now that you know what I do for a living, holla at your boy.
oh boy.
Hey, Nakia, if he's small and slow, start him off. Definitely start him off with a flag. You know, if he's small and slow.
Pooh, stop rallying for that kid, man. Al already told you to crush that kid's dreams.
All right, guide him towards student government.
That's on my heart, though. If he's small and slow, just steer him towards flag
Soccer.
football. If he's
But
slow.
what is he, 9 or is he 11? He's 11,
He's
right?
11. He's 11.
Okay,
yeah.
so he can still at 11. That's not the peak of your speed. Like he was.
No, but I'm talking about like
Time to hook up his
extremely
cardio.
slow. Like extremely slow. Like
Yeah, you know how some kids you just know that kid can't.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
He's 11, but first and second graders are beating him. I mean, not your son, Nakia, but I'm just saying if
You talking about your son, the kid? Is he that slow? Is his
No,
little,
That's how
his
you
little
talk
cousin
about
beating him?
Nakia's son like
Right.
that.
That's how you
Y'all
do,
bugs.
Pooh.
I'm totally not. I'm
Nah, I tell you, that's why
It's
my
all right.
question related to like what's his skill set. Like that's why it was so important. Like
right.
once we know what the skills are, then we can
man.
give a better answer.
Bottom line, tell him to work on his cardio. It'll come in handy whenever he play.
Fucking teachers
like
always
Bug.
breaking kids down, man. Talking about that kid like that, Pooh.
Nah, Jay, like Bug, Jay, that went to school with
Oh,
us.
go ahead, stop.
Bug was always small, but like he was a hammer. He was fast, strong, he was fearless, but he was small.
He was short. Or
He was short. He was
Both.
short and small. Yeah.
But
He was a he was a hammer. He would knock your block off. He was
he
fast,
would,
quick.
but that kid ain't make it to varsity. You don't think he ever played varsity?
No, he didn't ever play varsity.
Right.
I mean, that was because he got banged up. Yeah, he got banged up.
Yeah, so that's what. So like at some point,
Should have been a referee.
He didn't play varsity as a senior.
No,
he just didn't play.
He didn't play.
Oh,
I mean, he was getting in a lot of trouble too.
Yeah,
I
he
think.
did.
But I don't.
Might have
think
been
he-
all them concussions. I don't know. I'm just crazy.
Hanging out with Pooh. Hanging out with Pooh.
Y'all wouldn't let him play on varsity, so he was
Right.
acting out.
Nah, he had the skills and he could get out there, I think, and perform, but he was getting in trouble. That's what that was about.
Yeah. But no. I mean, at the end of the day, Nakia, it's your decision, and hopefully his father or some kind of father figure is whoever it is in your family and you is your decision. Just let us know how it turns out. If he get banged up and bent in half on his first practice, send us a picture.
Don't say that.
Yeah, don't wish that.
Hey,
I don't wish that on him, but it happens. Shit, I was a
Real
big
quick,
kid. I got bent in half a couple times.
I was to say real quick. That's why I've been Little Rodney's been the fastest thing smoking. As testament to his like 3 state championships in track and Olympics and all Junior Olympics and all that. But like when he was in the 9th grade, and like he played football. But I think after the second practice, they put that kid at running back, and after the second practice, the kid broke up and was like, "I think track is my sport."
Right.
Like so, sometimes the kid will make that. That's why I was like, it's a little too early to make that decision. But as he gets older and he gets in the middle school and early high school, he'll be able to make those. If he loves sports and he wants to be an athlete, he'll be able to make those decisions on his own.
Yeah, and most of the time, the sport will make the decision for you. So, like, he'll know within a few practices if this is for him or it's not, and I mean mentally inside of him.
Right.
And so if it's time to move on, he'll move on to something else or not. But whatever he does, just push him at it. If that's his decision. Push him at it.
And one more thing, Jay. One more thing about that. Just like you said, the sport will determine it for you. Hence, we're at practice about the 11-year-old mark, and we're playing bull in the ring, and guys are hitting. And next thing I know, I see one of my he was one of my best friends at the time, Stephen Mundy. What up, Steve? And so Steve was walking off, and I yelled down there, Steve, where you going, buddy? Where you going? He said, I'm going home. I quit. So he had, he had hit Temp, a kid named Temp. Temp was huge. He was a monster.
Yeah.
At 11 years old. Yeah. So he had to go head on against Temp like 2 or 3 times. And next thing I know, the kid was walking off. He quit. So the sport determined his fate for him. So I'm with you with that, Jake.
Yeah, but in Steve's defense, I played against Temp and I practiced against Temp every day in high school. And I wanted to quit a few times. That kid was a bowling ball of butcher knives. I couldn't stand blocking that kid.
He was different. No, he was different. He was different.
Yeah. That kid was all of 5'8", 260, and bow-legged and all muscle. Like I hated blocking that dude. So
it was different.
He had me on borderline quitting. So, and shout out to you, Steve. You ain't do the wrong thing.
Ain't no shame, huh?
Right.
Ain't no shame, Steve.
Nah. Well, again, y'all hit us up, man, if y'all want us to answer some more of your questions. We have fun with these every week. Again, it's a testament when we can go 30 minutes on your questions, so definitely have fun with these. We're going to jump into a commercial. Before we come back and talk some sports, we're going to get into some NBA. Al's going to get his baseball roundup on again for us, and we're going to talk some heavyweight boxing. So we'll be right back with episode 110 of the Defy Life podcast.
We have to become involved in a program of re-education to educate our people into the importance of knowing that when you spend your dollar out of the community in which you live, the community in which you spend your money becomes richer and richer. The community out of which you take your money becomes poorer and poorer.
In order for us to build, we have to make sure that we foster that entrepreneurial mindset in ourselves and even in our kids.
Eventually, someone is going to call you to task about what have you grown. Eventually, you're going to be asked what business you own, how many people have you hired, how have you created systemic changes in the black economy, how's that helped the greater economy.
Welcome back to the Defy Life podcast. Again, this is episode 110. This is J.R. Glymph. With me, as always, Thomas Stevens, Alvin Glymph, Gerald Hedrick, West Coast Jay. Hey, Jay, quick question. I mean, I know, your gang-affiliated name on the Defy Life show is West Coast Jay. Do you mind if I ever call you by your government? I'm just so used to calling you West Coast Jay now, but I don't want to slip up and you be like, man, why you telling my government name?
No, you can call me by my government, bro.
Okay. Jason Joseph, ladies and gentlemen. Jason Joseph. See, I don't even know if y'all knew his real name. But, yeah, man, I just didn't want to slip up and be like, Jason. And you like, that ain't my fucking name. My name is so just wanted to clear that up.
They call me.
Right. Exactly. Well, yeah. And again, y'all, that was the promo for Hey Sis, How Was It? Making her It's our big sis Trina making her debut this week on the Defy Life Podcast Network. So check her out every on Mondays when she's reviewing black-owned businesses and services and products. So, hey sis, how was it? Now a part of the Defy Life family. So we left off with our listener questions. We're gonna jump into some NBA talk. It's only 2 teams left. So what the hell y'all think we talking about? We're talking about the finals. Jay, I'm gonna start with you, man, because your Warriors are in it.
Yes.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's pretty much a given that KD's out for Game 3.
Yes.
All right. Clay a little hobbled.
Clay is questionable currently.
All right. And so moving forward.
Oh, and Looney is out completely.
And Looney's out. Man, yeah, because he got Nakia, if you want to see how your son will look on the football field, look at how Kawhi did Looney. And you might want to have that was ugly.
Yeah, it was pretty bullyish.
Right. But so considering there's 3 of their main cogs, they're possibly out for Game 3. If those 3 are out for any extended period of time, it's probably likely that KD's out for an extended period. Of course, Looney's out. And Clay is up in the air right now. Of course, that evens the series a bit more, but you think Golden State will? I ain't going to say should. I'm going to say will. Do you think they will pull it out if all 3 of those guys miss extended periods?
Yes.
All right.
Draymond Green is playing pretty transcendent on the defensive side of the court right now.
Who's the best defender in the history of the league?
In the history of ever. I thought you knew that.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to just narrow it down to the league in history of ever.
Okay.
Dre was playing defense against the Spartans.
Go ahead.
He used to play against the
T-Rex.
Persians as a Spartan. You feel me?
He got traded.
He got traded twice. You know what I'm saying? Dre learned defense from Genghis Khan. I don't know if you knew.
Oh wow.
That's where the technique came from initially. But yeah, I mean what it does is it significantly limits boosts the chances for the Raptors. The first game was kind of an anomaly in the sense that you ain't about to get 32 from Siakam every day. You ain't about to get 20 from Van Vliet, rather.
Do you know his name now? Do y'all know his name now?
Is it Van Vliet?
Van Vliet. Victor Alpha November.
It's not very often on this show that I'm blatantly right? I'll give y'all that. But when I am, damn it, you gonna know about it. I told you that dude could play, man. But Money, you didn't even want to talk about it.
I never said he couldn't play. I watched him all season. He played well.
No, you right. Oh, now you do know we record these shows, right?
Okay. What I said is he's not going to be able to do nothing with 30.
That's not what you said, but you do know we record these shows, right?
Yeah, I'm aware. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure, but just want to make sure you know his name, because honestly, you made it seem like, he was Nakia's son trying to play in the finals.
And we hating on Nakia's son still, man.
She emailed us.
Hey, go ahead. He's a serviceable backup. I mean, he came in. Here's what you said. You said in the 2 times that they played, Van Vliet shut Curry down, and I was like, well, that was the regular season. That's not gonna happen in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said.
And when he's been guarding Steph, Steph is shooting under 30%, right?
Yeah. Steph is having to pass the ball a whole bunch. Something about Fred on fleek is bothering Steph.
It is.
And I don't know if it's like he's too light skinned for him or something. I don't know what the answer for real is.
He more light skinned than Steph.
More light skinned than Steph, and more light skinned than Seth. So it's not like playing against his brother no more.
Yeah.
True.
You know, he a little bit wider, a little bit
But I told you he ain't gonna come out and average 20 and 10, but he gonna bother Steph, and he obviously is bothering Steph.
Yeah, but the Draymond Green Defender of the Universe decided that he was going to actually do all of the stuff he said after the first game's press conference.
Yeah.
Which was basically, I need Siakam to go back to being the dude who's probably going to win Most Improved Player of the Year.
Right.
So, like, not necessarily the superstar that he looked like in Game 1 of his first finals ever.
Right.
So, with that said, like, and that and DeMarcus, he made all of the difference on the.
and I believe I said that.
Yeah, he made all of the difference. He came back and he was just being big and in people's way and making people have to do other stuff for rebounds and also making them have to play a skilled big. Like, it's nothing against Looney or Jordan Bell or Bogut, but they don't have his offensive prowess. Like.
So
he hit some big shots.
And so, Money, I was going to ask you that because I remember you saying that. But do you think it's sustainable from Cousins?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Cousins is Cousins. I just think he's been hurt. He's been hurt. I absolutely think that you can. I absolutely think that for 5 or 6 games or whatever this goes, and keep in mind the first 2 games were in Toronto. I'm not changing my pick. I'm not changing the amount of games, no matter who's hurt or who plays, just because I think the sheer weight of the level that Golden State can throw at you when they're playing at that championship level. I mean, even the bench dudes, they've been here before. Like, now Toronto's about to have to go to Oracle and play under, like, they're gonna have to. I don't see it looking good for them, man. I think, whoever suits up for the Warriors, especially in front of that home crowd, I think Toronto gave them their best shot in Game 1, and they had them up down big in Game 2.
It's Toronto's fault. They that game was serious time. It's totally their fault.
I think the third quarter happened in Game 2.
Yeah, I think at the end of the next 2 games, it's 3 games to 1.
So
Golden State.
So as far as Cousins, right? Because what we know traditionally from DeMarcus Cousins is he's never been a guy in the greatest of shape. Coming off of two major injuries, and you did mention your phrase, well, that's the regular season, that's the playoffs. He's never been in the playoffs. And what we know about in the regular season is that he was hurt. He came back for 2 games, and he was hurt again. So
he was more than 2 games.
No, he came back for 2 games in the playoffs. I mean, it's for his second game in the playoffs, he got hurt.
True.
And so, like, that's why I'm asking you where that confidence comes from. Because, as you said, Cousins is Cousins. He hasn't been in a year. So, what I'm asking is, I need better analysis than Cousins is Cousins.
Okay, then I will go deeper. Because and you will disagree with this, but I think when DeMarcus Cousins.
Well, let me decide that, but I just need you to tell me.
Well, because we've had this conversation before. Skill-wise, I believe DeMarcus Cousins is a top 10 player in the NBA. I have him ranked very highly, skill-wise, and as far as compared to other talent in the league. Of course,
I agree with that. I don't disagree with that.
Of course, this is pre Achilles injury, but I think his skill set is definitely still there. And I think it's gonna. So being that he came back for Game 2, I don't think he played Game 1. Well, but yeah, he did. He played like 19 minutes in Game 1, and then he played a little bit more.
That's how bad he was. You don't even remember.
I think playing at home. I think him playing the next 2 games in front of that Oracle crowd, he's gonna get all the love in the world. Like, that's just gonna further boost his confidence. And he played a really, really, really good game too. I would argue that without him, Golden State doesn't win that game. Like when they were really struggling, but DeMarcus Cousins hit big shots. He played good D. Like he was the glue that kept them together when Curry was struggling and the other guy was in foul trouble and then Clay got injured. So I really think that it's selfishly, it's a big moment for him. So here the thing that I think gets him over the top is his whole plan was to play for that $180, $200 million contract. He hasn't really been able to do that, but he can regain a little bit of value if he plays a lights out finals. And I think that selfishly, I think that's his intent. Of course, he wants to win a ring, but I also think selfishly, he's playing for his next contract. So he's got to play, however long these finals are, he's got to play well.
Yeah. I don't know. I just have my doubts because a 7 foot, 6'11", 270-pound man, at some point, his body's not going, his brain's going to tell his body to do stuff he's not able to do. And playing the most minutes he's played all year in Game 2, I just don't think he's going to have the legs to sustain that.
I agree with that, but I also don't think he's going to have to.
But that's what it means.
Game
but if
2
everybody's
was a different
back,
situation.
Right. But if everybody's back, it don't matter. But if Clay's
Right.
out and they need, that same DeMarcus, and if Steph struggles again, I just don't know if he can conjure that, he can just flip that switch and turn it on and turn it off. We've all been there. We've been in a zone and our bodies feel good, and we think, we can be like that all the time. But sometimes your body tells you otherwise. So I just don't know if he'll be able to sustain it. But at the end of the day, I agree with you. I don't think it matters because I think he won't have to. So,
right.
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves asking DeMarcus to be a 20-10 guy every night at this point.
Don't discount the power of playing at home when you're a little winded, when you're a little tired, when you're a little hurt. That home crowd does do a lot for you.
I think they're gonna need him because I don't think Durant is coming back.
Yeah,
I'm really not expecting him to come back, and so I think Cousins is gonna be the storyline, of the finals. If he comes and plays, the way the NBA does their final schedule, he should have 2 or 3 days to recover. So if he plays like he played Game 2 at home, I think they got a good shot of winning both games. Because honestly, when you look at Toronto, who else besides Kawhi is going to step up on the road?
That's the big thing.
Right, Gasol, Lowry, Siakam. 2 of them guys.
Fred gonna step up.
Fred and Danny Green.
Right. Nah, but really though,
hey, I got a lot of confidence in Danny. If anyone, Danny Green's been there before.
Yeah, but at some point though, I get the whole been there before and experienced speak, but if you can't play, you can't play. Danny Green been trash.
Ooh. Danny Green made 2 real big shots.
2 real.
But in the playoffs, he's been inconsistent.
Right. I'm saying, to say that he's going to be this the one guy you can count on from that entire roster.
Oh no, he's not going to be that. I'm just saying he's been there. The moment's not too big for him. He's a 3-and-D guy. He is a 3-and-D guy. He's not going to do any more, any less.
But lately, he ain't giving you the threes or the D. So what are you left with?
He's been playing okay, D.
Steph been lighting him up every time he guarding Steph.
This type of stuff.
Yeah, but that's where Steph getting his points from.
Right. That's what it's like.
Anytime Fred Oncetas be on him, then he's stuck for whatever reason. He can't get away from him. He can't. They've tried screening. They've tried running him off of every pick in the world.
Danny Green has been a liability in this series.
When he's guarding Steph,
yes. But that's his primary role on defense. I mean, because he's not guarding Clay. So his only meaningful he's either on Steph or he's on Iguodala. They don't put him on Clay. So his only meaningful role in this series is to guard Clay and hit threes. To guard Steph and hit threes. He hadn't done either in this series.
You're not gonna. And Steph hasn't played particularly well yet.
Nah, that's because Fred on fleek got him.
All right.
Well,
and when he does get off in spurts, it's against Green.
So so if you're Terry Scott's, whatever his name is, if you're the coach of the Raptors, this is whatever his name is. Do you make a personnel change and start Van Vleet and just give him that assignment to guard Curry and then bring Danny Green off the bench? Is that a move you make to win this championship?
It's an idea.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I don't know if it's like a necessity.
What? This for the whole thing.
No, but what I'm saying
is, idea.
It's an idea. But you played basketball before, so you know it ain't all about. The game's not always determined by how you start and who you start. So rotations matter. So it's not just as simple as saying I'm gonna start this guy and then fix the problem. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's not that simple, is what you're saying. I'm saying it's not a necessity. Like they said, it is an idea, but I don't think it's a cure-all.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of move will remind me of when Kyrie got hurt for the Cavs and Dellavedova had that great game and then broke.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't see Van Vleet I don't see him being able to maintain it like that. Like,
and
something about him
screams. You can devalue a player's stock if you put him in a starting lineup.
Because Steph is going to explode. He's going to have to. And so I'm not really sure if, I know they were looking at his eye and he wasn't feeling I don't think that Van Vliet's defense is that much of a deterrent to Steph is what I'm saying. I think there have been some, I think he plays tough, hard-nosed D, but it's everyone gets Steph's best shot on D because everyone feels like this kid shouldn't be able to do this to me.
But I hear results, you. I'm talking about the results. I ain't talking about
they went to a straight box and won.
Right. That's who does that to Steph Curry.
Straight box and won.
Right.
And it was just him. Go get Steph, and he was with him the whole time. And Steph still almost threw the ball away. If it wasn't for...
I don't know what you watching, Money. I don't know if it's that you just don't want to be wrong about this, but he and Steph shit.
Yeah, but that box and one is allowing them to help and shade and it's sticking with it well. It's a great team concept as well. They're giving him a lot of support.
It is, but what I'm saying is it ain't. But there's a reason why everybody else is in the box and he's the one.
Oh no, I agree with you. I'm saying, but it's both.
It is.
I hardly agree with you. His speed, his quickness, his toughness, he plays Curry really, really well. Along with how they're playing as a team makes it very effective.
Yeah, I'm not discounting that. I'm not discounting I see that he's in Steph shit. I'm watching the same thing y'all are watching. What I am, however, saying I don't really I think it's a factor, but it's not. It's only been 2 games, and the Warriors are tied 1-1.
Right, and it's the playoffs, so you got the playoffs is all about adjustments. So I'd be curious.
Why don't we wait till after 5 games to talk about the finals then?
No. We want
not. Well, that's what I'm saying. We talking about what we know.
That's not what I'm saying.
But we also can project too, though, right? I mean, you know what I mean? We know what's happened, but we also expect adjustments from Golden State. So I think if they can adjust there's ways to beat a Bucks in one.
Yeah, Andre Iguodala did it.
Yeah, right. But that's what I'm saying. Somebody else is going to have to step up for Golden State and hit wide open shots. But I'm saying, like, in one instance you're projecting, but then in the other instance you're saying it's only been 2 games. Well, which one is it? Like, are we going to talk about what we know, or are we going to project?
Here's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's been 2 games, meaning that, like, Curry hasn't had the game that I expect him to have yet.
And before the series, you said he would have those games all the way through.
Oh, I think he's gonna. Oh, noted. I'll take that. It's not well. It's not like he's played bad. He just hadn't had 35 and 40 points. You know, so I think the kid's playing him well. He's playing tough. Like I said, he's playing tough, hard-nosed D. You know, but and it won't be enough.
I ain't discrediting that. I think we all agree Golden State's going to win this series. But I do also think that Steph is having to work a lot harder for playing mediocre, for mediocre results, than most of us thought he would.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think if Durant doesn't come back and Clay does not come back in like full strength, like an effective Clay, I don't think it's a given that Golden State still is able to win this. Like, I think the way Kawhi's playing, and if he can get some help, like, I mean, he has players, if they can come and play, like, they can beat Golden State with just Curry and Draymond.
Yeah. I think Kawhi's going to run. I think Kawhi's going to run out of gas.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Like, I don't get how you say DeMarcus Cousins can run the table with the way he playing, and Kawhi's going to run out of gas.
Well, okay, because Kawhi's literally carried them the entire playoffs.
Yeah, but like you just said, this for all the marbles. Like, right, like, that's what he's built for.
That's what he does. That's who he is.
And at the end of Game 2, when the Raptors needed big shots and they had big possessions, Kawhi didn't hit them. And I think, and this is just me watching him, I think it's because he didn't have any legs. Like, I think the length of series. So here the difference is the length of the series that the Raptors is. I think they've had 2 7-game series, or maybe 3. No, 2. I think the length of their series, the minutes that he's logging, he's not taking his normal rest. He's in the game. Like, I think he's starting. I think that is starting to show late in games, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
DeMarcus Cousins only. DeMarcus Cousins only.
I think he just missed the shots.
Okay, maybe. But you guess what happens when good shooters start to miss shots? They're losing their legs.
Not necessarily. Sometimes it's just a miss. So Steph ain't got no legs?
Steph hadn't played.
Steph just missing shots.
Right.
Steph hadn't been in 2 really physical Game 7 series where he had to do all the work.
So what you're saying is sometimes it's because they ain't got no legs. Sometimes it's because of other shit. You don't know that.
Yeah, sometimes I said in my opinion.
Yeah, I just said, right, and that's what I just said. You don't know that. That means it's your opinion.
No, I don't know that. Right. I don't know that. That's just what I see when I'm watching. I get the sense that I get the sense that he's late in games when the last 4 or 5 minutes of a game, when all that pressure's on, I think he's wearing down. That's
so
just what
in game 1 when he was making those shots, he had legs then.
I still think I think wearing down is an accumulative thing.
No, I'm just asking. So in game 1 at the end of the game, he had legs. I'm asking. This is a real question.
He had more legs than he had after playing 38 minutes of game 2.
Okay. So if we're projecting in game 3, he comes out, he hits a game winner. He got his legs back, or he just made the shot?
Well, he's had 3 days rest, so, you know, if it's Maybe. But the longer,
I think that pretty much sums up this entire conversation. Maybe. We don't know.
The longer series goes. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've seen. Why you acting like you? The guys get tired, and it's not like what.
But I don't. But I get guys get tired, but guys who carry franchises
don't get tired.
That's exactly you're making this. You're making this seem
Kawhi ain't play last year.
But that's last year, money. Like you said, like he ain't carried the team the whole season. Like he ain't. What I'm saying is, it's quite convenient to say, well, Kawhi ain't got no legs, he's getting tired, but Steph just off.
Why is that not fair to say?
I ain't saying it's not fair. I said it's convenient because it fits what you want to say. All right, and so I'm just really trying to get to the consistency of how you judge that. Like,
I thought I literally just said, first of all, the Warriors swept Portland. They've been off for days.
Okay, so but you also
those points. I said Steph is taking he's not taking his quite normal rest, but he's taking and West Coast Jay can affirm it. He's taking close to his normal rest, and they haven't played as many games. The series the series weren't as fit. Houston's not a physical team. Portland's not a physical team. Like Toronto played 2 7 games with some physical basketball, and I think late in games, and I feel like in game 2, what I saw out of Kawhi was a Kawhi that was losing his legs.
Yeah,
I
don't agree with you. That's what I'm saying. I don't agree. I just don't agree, and this is just based off of history of the game. Guys of that stature don't lose their legs at the end of a finals game. I've never seen it happen. Not the best player on the court.
They had a whole big write-up about LeBron losing all his stamina in the Spurs series. Obviously, it happens.
Yeah, but that LeBron wasn't the best player on the court at that point in his career.
Oh, wow. I'm not talking about in 2008 or whenever. I'm talking about a few years. I'm talking about the year he left Miami.
I don't know. They might have written it up, but from what I saw, I don't know. From what I saw, the entire Miami team was done except for LeBron. But I'm talking about the history of the league and Kawhi in particular. Guys like that don't just all of a sudden get tired, and they fight through that stuff. I ain't saying they don't get tired, but they don't lose their legs and become ineffective and say, "Man, I lost my legs. I couldn't hit them shots." That just don't happen.
Kawhi's got the most points in the 2019 NBA playoffs. I think he's playing the most minutes. He's been in 2 7 games. I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, even if you have the heart of a champion, you can still lose your legs when you played 39 minutes and there's 5 minutes left in the game and every shot counts. That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to have to pull your line on this one and say it's only been 2 games. We'll see what happens. Because I don't know. Because if he comes back in game 3 and hits the game-winning shot, it's just going to be convenient for you to say, well, he had 3 days rest. He got his legs back. Then it just becomes a moot point. This conversation is pointless because you can just move the goalpost at any point you want to. I'm just saying.
I'll tell you what.
He missed the shot.
Let's watch game 3. Let's see what he looks like going deep into that fourth quarter, especially if he doesn't take his normal rest, and then we'll talk about it next week. We'll have a 10 spot on it. We can talk more.
All right.
I'm just telling you what I
just think it'll be beautiful if he has no legs and he makes the shot. Then who wins? If he gets no lift on his jumper and he makes it, we both lose. Then Pooh can say something about the finals. Oh man. Al.
Good perspective, sir. Good perspective.
All right. Al.
Yo.
Are you ready to talk some baseball, sir?
Oh, I'm always ready to talk some baseball, sir. Always ready to talk some baseball.
I'm gonna use my line.
Nah. This is gonna be a call and response. Y'all need.
Here's, well, yeah. So it's been a minute.
Right.
So I thought about it. I was like, man, we are a few weeks in, a couple months into the Major League Baseball season, and Al ain't told us no baseball news in a minute. So, without further ado, it's Al's baseball round.
Oh man, I got theme.
You got an intro. That was awesome.
Every hero needs theme music.
All right.
That's what I'm talking about. So, okay, so let's start off with just some quick, if you wasn't aware and you go to a baseball game, you want to protect your neck at all times. So like a week ago, a young girl got hit by a foul ball at a Cubs and Astro game. And it really just highlighted, even though, Major League Baseball is progressing in some ways, and in some parks, they got it all the way down to the foul pole. It's just a reminder that they really need to step it up and make that uniform so that these things don't happen again. So it was a unfortunate accident. The Cubs player, the guy who did it, Albert Amora, was like tore up. Like he went down to his knees and everything because it was, it's kind of, you don't want to see nobody get hurt, at a baseball game. So just a reminder, if you go to a baseball game, like I said, protect your neck. But also, just me trying to shout out to Major League Baseball, y'all need to fix y'all shit and make it more safe because we want to grow the sport.
Right. Do you any word on how the girls doing now?
Other thing, no major injuries.
Okay.
So, all right. So it was no permanent damage or anything like that. So we might see a lawsuit or something like that in the future, but she's fine.
Good.
Interesting thing I read recently is that attendance is down. Like people showing up to Major League Baseball is actually decreasing, and
I know
a decent
I ain't been to no
economy.
games. My bad.
I'm just saying. So I wanted to get my colleagues' opinion perspective. Why do y'all think what's happening? Why people ain't going to the games? Y'all think it's prices? You think it's slow? Like, just get y'all's insight on why people don't go to baseball games.
I think it's one part pricing. I think it's one part the game take 3 hours.
It's slow. It is slow.
But I think it's mostly pricing. You got to pay the park, depending on what park you're at. Like I'm thinking of where the Giants play. You got to park. If you drive, you park down the street and around the corner. If you're on public transportation, you got to take public transportation. Then when you get there, food is outlandishly priced. Like, the stadiums are starting to price food like they food trucks or something. Like, outlandishly priced. Like, what is it, $14 for some fries? What do these fries do? Do I get to play?
These places are really
gigolo fries.
Yeah, they gotta be. Fries get a little extra on the side or something. I don't know what's going on.
You go to some of these places, like it's so overpriced, and really, I guess that's just how they see they making their money. So, once they get you in there, they're trying to make sure they get as much money as possible.
Right.
Concessions are outlandish.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with I think there's been like record heat across the country. And I think people just ain't trying to be sitting out in that right now. And, and there's other stuff to do. There's other sports still going on. I think it'll pick back up when the finals are done and, there's nothing else to watch on TV. I think it'll pick back up, but right now it's too hot and it's too expensive. That is not a good combination.
Dude, too hot is a real thing. The last baseball game I went to was in D.C., and I just happened to be at Nationals Park on the hottest day in recorded history in Washington, D.C. I got through 3 innings and left. I couldn't do it no more.
Wow.
So it brings up bad memories of me watching my son play baseball down here in Georgia, out there in the heat. And, I mean, you're fortunate at that age where you could even bring a tent and sit under a tent or something like that as a parent. But, yeah, too hot is definitely a issue. I feel you. So I got some names I want to throw at y'all. Tell me who these people are. Let's go with first. Adley Rushman. Tell me what they have in common. Adley Rushman, Bobby Witt Jr., and Andrew Vaughn. What do they have in common? Andrew Vaughn, Bobby Witt Jr., and Ashley Rutschman.
That's the chess club for the Des Moines, Iowa Hawkeye high school team.
Very close, but no, not exactly.
Man, I couldn't tell you. They all were born on the 4th of July.
Nah, okay. Those are the top 3 draft picks in a 2019 Major League Baseball draft.
Okay.
And I say that just to highlight the difference in interest, awareness in sports. And if I had said like Murray, Boza, and Quentin Williams,
right,
y'all would have been like, oh,
top 3 picks.
Those are those top 3 picks in the NFL.
Right.
Yeah. Baseball suffers from that. And, part of it is because there's so many baseball players, so many levels. Players don't always make it to the league. So you don't even really have to pay attention to the draft. You just pay attention to the majors if you're a baseball fan a lot of times. But there's an interesting thing that with the draft just happening in baseball, just wanted to see, just demonstrate that now people don't really give a damn about baseball's draft.
I mean, when was the last time?
The only time people give a damn about baseball drafts is when you recruit a kid out of high school to play college football, and then he goes to fucking play baseball.
Right.
That shit really fucking pisses me off. Like last year, we were really so happy to get Jordan Adams to commit to the University of North Carolina, and then he got drafted by like the Royals or something, and like the kid never put on the Tar Heel uniform. He went, you talk about a disappointed university. Oh, it was so bad. Yeah, that's the only time I pay attention to baseball is when like a kid can be drafted, and he's also a big time high school football player, and he chooses to play baseball. That's like the only time we pay attention to the baseball draft. Sorry.
Man, I feel the exact opposite way. Kyler Murray was an Oakland Athletic until he was the number 1 pick in the draft.
That is the opposite story. Good point, West Coast, Jay. Touche.
Look, that's the only time people paid attention.
Right, like I couldn't tell you who any team other than my teams. There's no reason for me to know who drafted them because they're not going to be playing in the bigs forever.
Right.
Like, they're going to be playing for the Winston-Salem Dash and
Not only is it hard to get there, you're right. Not only is it hard to get to the majors, where some of these number 1 picks don't even become stars, but it takes so long. 3-4 years removed to where it's like you was the number 1 pick. Wow, really? So big difference.
Yeah, and unlike in football and basketball, the number 1 pick makes it. Even if he makes it to the majors, they don't really make a major difference immediately. Like so that hope is kind of stripped away. It's like football. You draft Kyler Murray number 1. The hope is that he turns your entire franchise around. Of course, you draft LeBron number 1 overall or Zion. The hope is that he turns your franchise around. Baseball ain't quite like that because it's so many moving parts. So I think it kind of strips away a lot of the hope and the intrigue around top picks.
Like, who was the last actual top pick that was that's currently a star? Like the last one?
Todd Van Poppel.
Baseball?
Shit.
Baseball?
I know Mike Trout was a high pick.
Yeah.
And Bryce Harper were also high pick.
Yeah, Bryce
What
Harper.
about that young super good kid for the Braves, Alex Acuna? What was he? Because I know he's young. He's like 19.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what he was because he might not even be drafted. That's the other thing with baseball.
Yeah.
Like they can just sign people from the Caribbean or Cuba at the age of 16, 17 years old and not even have to be drafted.
Yeah, like the last one I could think of was Buster Posey, and he was the 5th pick.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Buster Posey was the high pick, but again, I'm not ultra familiar with a lot of baseball high picks, so I don't know who they.
And then it's so baseball is so different, so that you might have somebody who was drafted in the 8th round, 7th round, and just turn out to be a dominant pitcher, and it's just maybe they thought he was going to college or something, so they drafted him late, and turns out he's like, you know what? Nah, I'm coming to the pros, and he's a stud.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or he's the manager's godson, Mike Piazza.
Mike Piazza. Mike Piazza. And trust me, I know this kid's a stud. And look at that. Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So this kid, his name's Ronald Acuna. My bad.
He signed as an international free agent.
He's been a professional baseball player since he was damn near 16 years old. Because he spent 4 years in the minors.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
If he was really 16, because a lot of them kids lie about their age so they can start playing.
Oh, yeah.
Another difference in sports, though, like you don't see basketball or football signing 16-year-olds and giving them contracts.
Right.
Giving them contracts to develop them.
Yeah, and that's really in name only, though, because of course, basketball and football don't have true minor leagues. Their minor league is college. So
true.
You do see like Alabama offering an 8th grade quarterback a scholarship.
Yeah, true that.
So it just works differently. But so I guess like the linear aspect of it, yeah, you're right. And so just there's no like twists and turns. The connection is straight linear. And so, they kind of toil in an obscurity for so long, you forget about them until they actually show up in the majors.
Exactly. And there's so many people on a major league roster, just in general, just people. Then to think that there's also a AAA roster, and then a AA roster, and then a single A roster.
Yeah, and all those rosters are so specialized, right?
Yeah, man.
So you can be, a middle relief pitcher and make it all the way to the majors as a middle relief pitcher. It's just that little niche.
Like that's what you do,
right? And you really could just make your living off 2 innings a night. That's something you won't see.
And get well compensated.
Right.
Because I think the active, like what they call the active major league roster is either 30 or 35 players. And then
baseball is 25.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, is it 25? Then 25. Okay, so every roster gets 25 players, right? If memory serves me correctly. Like so the double A, single A, and then but all together it's like 125 players in in your system or in your farm system. I can't remember the exact number, but it's like it's a system. It's a system.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing, want to wrap it up. I'll give you out my top 3 teams in terms of how they performing right now. My top 3, I got the Astros, the world champions. Kind of serious roster, stars up and down the lineup. They getting kind of old up there, but they still rocking. I like the Astros in the American League. Second, I got the Dodgers. Astros Dodgers was in the World Series last year. I wouldn't be surprised if they repeat again. And then my number 3 team is I got them Yankees, who are decimated with injuries and have been balling with like just some subs and shit. So it's been a good story, the Yanks this year, because as much money as they have paid, they've been playing well and been playing well with a lot of the rookies, younger guys, and old veterans who ain't getting that $25 million contract. So it's been a good story at the Yanks. And those are my top 3: Astros, Dodgers, and Yankees. And that wraps up Al's baseball talk. That's all I got.
All right. Appreciate it, Al. We'll check back in with you in about a month or so. And
appreciate
it.
2 months.
All right.
We gotta find Al
somebody shake Pooh, wake his ass up. I don't even know if he's still here. Oh man, I
was say he was still here. Right. Yo, my company has so we have a AAA team here called the Charlotte Knights, and so we have the number 1 stadium in for that level and everything. So my company has sweet seats to that, and I always go. I always try to go, but I'm like you, West Coast Jay. Like the game's so fucking boring. Like it's mostly stretching and like if the game wasn't so long, I can only deal with baseball to actually play it, because I played it. But to fucking watching that shit is so fucking boring. Like I can't do it. I'm by the 6th inning, I'm out of there. Like I just can't. Like it takes so. Don't let it be like a 7-run game where they gotta keep changing pitchers. My god, like.
The pitching changes are the absolute worst, but the way that I get through it is even more boring. I learned how to keep score, so it's the only way. It's the only way to pay attention to the whole game.
Oh wow!
So yeah, it's a scorekeeper. Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah, man. I learned how to keep score in most of the sports because it kept me watching them. Otherwise, I got ADD apparently. Or as somebody else once put, I think it was Noriega once put it, I might got a because I'm done there.
Oh, man. Well, speaking of done there, anybody watch the Anthony Joshua fight this weekend?
Hey, shout out to the new heavyweight champion Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias.
Right.
You know, the king of the Mexicans held it down.
Yo, I sent that picture to Pooh and he thought that was actually Andy Ruiz.
Yeah, that was the best.
Pooh's wife had to tell him, that ain't him, that's that comedian dude. Pooh's like, he do look like him though, which he does. But I think Anthony Joshua wished he was fighting Gabriel Iglesias because he got that work.
He did. I mean, after he knocked the dude down, Ruiz got up and stole on him. Like he was putting hands on him. I was cracking up, actually. Look at that big old dude. Stealing on that big old physical specimen of a heavyweight champion.
I don't know. Al, what do you think this does for the heavyweight division? Like, there was so much excitement around, of course, it's fucking boxing, so we always got to talk in possibilities. But the possibility of Wilder versus Joshua eventually, obviously this takes a little bit of the shine off of that, but do you think it's still an important fight? Does it still happen? Does anybody care at this point? Because Joshua, again, his chin
has been exposed.
It's been exposed again, and this time was his ultimate downfall. What do we go at this point in the heavyweight division with Wilder and Fury and Joshua and of course Ruiz and what are we looking at?
I think we're looking at a mess, but I think the person who's really mad is Wilder, because he was looking at a big payday and like he wanted to be the one to tap on that chin. So I think for that to happen, Wilder Joshua Ruiz would have to happen a rematch for Wilder to really want that fight. I kind of, if I'm Ruiz, I would really play off Wilder versus Joshua and just kind of whoever giving me the most money sign that fight, because I like his style. I mean, he can throw the hands. He is a chubby looking character, but he can box though, and that's what it's all about, like being able to fight. Yeah, he was a fighter.
And this the tricky thing is Ruiz and Wilder have the same promoter. So a lot of people are saying that they're going to try to keep all that money in-house and have Ruiz wait for the winner of, once Wilder fights his next fight against, was it Garcia or Cruz, whatever the guy's name is, and then Wilder, and then Ruiz just kind of takes on a few tomato cans and then fights Wilder for the big money.
And, you could lose weight. Like, so it is a possibility that this dude is like, becomes committed and is like, man, if I could knock this dude out fat, what kind of boxer could I be if I actually jog? Yeah,
and I mean, you look at, he put his hands up, he got abs, they're just under his fat. Like, he got abs, they're just under a whole lot of fat.
I thought it was comfortable, but I hope it brings some more attention to the heavyweight class, because
dude, it has to. It's the first Mexican heavyweight champion. It has to.
Yeah. Do you know
Mexican boxing fans are that's a thing still.
Yeah, they are ecstatic at this point.
Yeah, they not going nowhere. So it'll be nice to see him maybe even sneak up, because it's like I feel like he's gonna get big money one way or the other. Because does he have 2 of the 3 belts? Was that what he got from Joshua?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Deontay should
3
just...
of the 4. I think there's 4 belts.
Is there 4 of them?
3 of them.
Okay. Well, there's a WBA, WBC,
WBO, and IBO.
WBO, okay. Yeah. So he's got 3 of the 4, and Deontay got the other one? I feel like Deontay need to fight him just to try and unify the heavyweight championship.
Yeah. And I don't know. So, Money, do you think, is there, like, we all know the history of, boxers from Europe coming to America and getting their brains beat out. Joshua's only the latest for that to happen. But is there any road back for him, like, to salvage his respectability, marketability, in America? Because that's where the real money is, and of course that's where all the real champions are at this point in the heavyweight division. What's the road back for Joshua at this point?
I mean, I think there's a road back, just because I think his reputation's kind of tarnished for now, but I think there is a road back, just because as far as talent is concerned, you guys may disagree, but I don't think there's a ton of talent in the heavyweight division. And I guess before this, he was considered, a top echelon guy, So I definitely think there's a way back for him. I hope, because at the end of the day, it's still just one loss. So maybe. He can take another fight and have a good showing, but now everyone's gunning for him because everyone thinks he has a glass chin.
Yeah.
So I think there's a way back, but you just got like we always say, man, winning cures everything. So if he goes on a nice little string of fights and gets some wins, I definitely think he'd come back, but that's just more so because the heyday of the heavyweight is not where we are right now.
No, I'm reading this right now. It looks like they have triggered the contracted rematch clause. So Joshua will get a chance to get his face back.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing with Joshua, well, not even necessarily, well, two, with him and with anybody who fights him. One, with him, you know, that does a lot to a champion to get that first loss, and especially how he lost. And then two, it strips away everything that comes with it to his opponents. Because once one person see you get the shit knocked out of you, it's a whole lot of dudes that walk in that ring and think they can do the same. Because a lot of dudes lose before they even get into the ring. So I think it strips away a lot of that like aura around Anthony Joshua, with a lot of that in that thought of invincibility, where a lot of Ruiz in the rematch or whoever he fights next is not gonna have that. He's not gonna have that sense of invincibility, before the fight even starts. So it'll be interesting to see how he bounces back.
It's the only thing we can wait for is we got to see him.
Yeah.
And it turns out it's 4 of the 5. He's
5?
got 4 of the 5 belts. WBA, WBO, IBO, IBF, and WBC.
Jesus.
Wow.
So Ruiz has 4 of the 5 belts.
And so this is like, I wonder, when did this happen? Because I'm like, it was so much simpler back in the day when there was the undisputed heavyweight champion. Like now you got the linear champion. Now you got the unified. How do you lose? How does one belt just get missing and go to another dude?
That's hilarious. Maybe somebody at some point in the middle was like, well, I got 5 of them. I'm going to fight you for this one. And then I'm going to fight you over there for these 2. I don't know. Like, that's...
Yeah.
I don't want you to have them all. Maybe that's what it started with.
Yeah. I don't know. But that's why I don't unless somebody got, maybe one organization stripped somebody of a title and somebody got, I don't know. But
yeah, that's a possibility.
So, all right. Well, y'all ready for some trivia?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Money just texted. He got an early meeting tomorrow for his $23 million department, I guess. So he had to drop off. So it'll be one-on-one. Okay. Mano and mano. So, yeah. So for trivia, we have 4 categories. 4, yep. Point values are 1 through 50. I'm sorry, 10 through 50. First category is, fittingly enough, boxing nicknames. Second category is Atlanta hip hop. Third category is 1980s cartoons. And fourth category is 3 men and an alma mater. All right.
And a who?
An alma mater. So I give you 3 professional athletes from any sport, and you tell me what college they went to.
Fair enough.
So they don't all have to be in the same sport.
Okay.
All right. So, Jay, since your trivia got stripped last week due to technical difficulties, you get to go first this week, sir.
Oh, thanks. I'm going to go with 80s cartoons for 30.
All right. 80s cartoons for 30. This animated series is about a powerful but dim-witted cyborg police detective who stops crimes with the help of his niece Penny and her dog Brian.
It is a spin-off of DuckTales. It is. Damn it, what the hell was his name?
10, 9, 8.
Oh, wait, no, that's Inspector Gadget. I'm thinking about this all the way wrong. It's Inspector Gadget. As soon as you said Penny, it was like, Penny. Oh, yeah, Penny.
All right. 30 for Jay. All right, Al, where we going?
Let me go. Go boxing nicknames.
Boxing nicknames. What point value?
Let's go 30.
All right. For 30, I will give you the nickname. You give me the boxer's real name.
Okay.
Bone Crusher.
James Smith.
James Bone Crusher Smith. You are correct, sir. 30 for Al. All right. Jay, where we going?
Let me go cartoons for 40.
Cartoons for 40. This cartoon follows a race of small, colorful creatures that live happily underwater. They also use clams as a form of currency. The Snorks is correct. Good one. All right. 40 for Jay. All right. Al, what you got?
Let me try boxing nickname for 40.
Boxing nicknames for 40. The nickname is Lights Out.
James Tony.
Oh, correct. James Lights Out Tony. All right. Y'all stumping the Schwab at this point. Jay, where we going?
Back to cartoons for 50.
Cartoons for 50. In this series, the main character was an astronaut swept through a black hole into an ancient alien universe. With his trusty star sword, he protects the peaceful inhabitants of the planet Sagar.
This trusty starred astronaut. Was it Lone Star?
8, 7.
Almost. It was Black Star.
All right, for the record, that lady countdown is not nearly as intimidating as the dude.
She is not. What?
The dude was dead. Like, whoa, why are you hollering?
But you do get this.
Oh, wow.
See,
take that with you.
So we trick people, apparently. I didn't know that was a thing.
Al, where we go?
Let me go nicknames for 50 then.
Nicknames for 50. All right. The nickname is Winky.
Right. What's his first name? Winky Wright.
10,
what is his first name?
9, 8.
What is his first name? Winky
5,
Wright.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
The buzzer has sounded.
It's Winky Wright. I just know Winky Wright.
That's right. That's why it was the 50 pointer, because nobody ever called him by his real name, Ronald. Winky.
That was
Ronald.
a joke.
I just called him Winky. You're absolutely right.
Okay, so I don't feel stupid. I just, I'm like, yeah, I just know Winky. Okay.
Jay, what we got?
Cartoons for 20.
Cartoons for 20. Name the 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Michelangelo, Leonardo, Donatello, and Raphael.
Damn, shawty pimp.
Wow.
Hey, y'all was watching a bunch of TV. I was watching a bunch of cartoons.
All right, Al?
Let me do the nickname for 20. I got to try to keep up with this dude.
Nicknames for 20. Nickname is Boom Boom.
Ray Mancini.
Ray Mancini. That's correct. 20 for Al to tie it up. All right, Jay?
Yeah, let's close it out. Let me close out the cartoons.
All right. Featuring main character Prince Adam and his cat Cringer. This
He-Man.
cartoon became... Yes.
And the Masters of the Universe, if I need the whole name.
Right. All right. 10 for Jay. All right, Al. I'm guessing you're going 10 for nicknames?
I gotta keep up. I'm trying to match this stuff. I gotta match him.
Hitman.
Thomas Hearns.
Thomas Hearns is correct. Hitman or the Motor City Cobra is what they call him as well. All right. So Jay, we going to Atlanta hip hop or Three Men and an Alma Mater?
Yeah, man, you might well go and take me down there to wet, you know. Go to
ATL shot.
hip hop. ATL shot.
ATL shot it.
All right. What point left?
Let's just jump right out there and go to the 50.
Oh, okay. Name the 4 members of Goody Mob.
Cujo, Gip, CeeLo.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
God damn it, I'm gonna just say Outkast. That's not the answer, but damn it. Not the whole Dungeon family. Who'd I miss? It's the crucialist trumpet.
You missed Timo. Timo Good.
Damn it.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. Al, where we going?
Ooh, I'll take Atlanta Hip Hop for 30.
Atlanta Hip Hop for 30. This group didn't stick around too long. However, their one-hit single, Nuck If You Buck, has a lasting impact on the Atlanta hip-hop scene.
Um,
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
Crime
4,
Mob.
3,
Crime Mob is correct.
9, 8,
Yeah. So, 30. Al, shut up, lady.
3, 10, 9, 8, 7,
All right.
6,
Jay, where
you
we
can't
going?
get her to stop.
She just keeps starting over. I just let her
repeating
finish.
herself.
Yeah, fucking lady.
All right, let me have a 40 in the ATL shot.
40 in ATL. This Atlanta rapper started writing music while in college in New York. He now stars in a hits television series, which he also created.
Is that Donald Glover or Childish Gambino?
Donald Glover or Childish Gambino is correct. All right. 40 for Jay to retake the lead. Al?
Let me go 30 with, what is it, 3 Men and Alma Mater.
3 Men and an Alma Mater. All right. So I will give you 3 professional athletes, and they all went to the same university. Those 3 for the 30 are Roger Clemens, Brian Arakpo, and Kevin Durant.
That would be the University of Texas.
That is the University of Texas, correct. All right, Jay?
ATL shot for the dub.
ATL for the dub. This female MC. Oh. This is also a double point opportunity. This female MC. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Both of y'all, all this category was a double point opportunity. So we can go, let's backtrack for a second. Jay, if you could tell me the name of Childish Gambino's debut album, you get double points for that.
His first album? Wasn't it called Childish Gambino?
Incorrect. It was called Applesauce.
All right.
And Al, if you could tell me the name of Crime Mob's debut album.
They had an album?
Yeah, their only album.
I'm gonna say that was their name. They had an album?
Right.
That's my guess.
The name of the album
That's
was Crime Mob, actually.
Ah, damn.
All right.
Man.
All right. So, yeah, this is another double point opportunity. This female MC brought an extra edge to her 90s R&B group with her verses.
Lisa Left Eye Lopez.
Left Eye Lopez. And do you know the name of their debut album?
TLC's debut album was was it Crazy Sexy Cool, or was that the second? That was the second one. Damn it.
Yes.
The first one was TLC.
The name of the first one was Ooh on the TLC
on the
tip.
TLC tip.
On the TLC tip.
All right, Al.
So let me get 3 and an alma mater for 50.
3 men and an alma mater for 50. All right. Robert Porcher, Javon Hargrave, and Harry Carson.
Oh, I know this. Harry Carson. It was an HBCU. Hold on. Let me think. Where did Harry Carson go?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm going with South Carolina State.
Oh, at the buzzer, you got it. South Carolina State is correct.
Damn.
That is a New Yorker who followed NFL. Harry Carson, one of the greatest linebackers ever. I know it was an HBCU and just guessed South Carolina State.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Good work.
Yeah. Being that was the 50-pointer, lucky you, I put Harry Carson in there at the last second, replacing Darius Leonard. I thought Darius Leonard would be.
No, I would have known that. I would have known that. I was like, who's that? But then I thought about it. No, that's the young dude. Yeah, I would have guessed it.
All right, Jay.
Sticking Atlanta for 10.
All right. This legendary duo got its start on Headland and DeLoe.
Sound like Outkast.
That is Outkast. Yes, sir.
Not a doubt.
I still get the first album, wasn't it? Southern Playalistic.
Southern Playalistic, Cadillac Music.
Cadillac Smoking Music.
No doubt. All right. Al, so you have 3 men and an alma mater for 10 and 20 left.
Not 40? 40 not left?
Oh, and 40, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll take that 40.
All right. 3 men and an alma mater for 40. We have Jordy Nelson, A.C. Earl, and Robert Gallery.
Oh, Gallery. That's the dude I remember. Hold on, wait. That's the tackle. Hold on, wait. He was a draft. Where did he come from?
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Yeah.
Robert the Bus Gallery went to K-State.
No, sir.
I was going to guess Michigan. Where'd he go?
He went to, K-State.
Robert the Bust Gallery.
All right. Jay, for 10 and 20.
20.
All right. Fittingly as well, again, former football player who ended up going to play baseball. Jeff Samardzija, Monty Williams.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame is correct.
Jeff Samardzija, the San Francisco Giant.
All right. Oh, that's why.
Yep.
All right. And, all right, so let me see where we stand point-wise, see if anything's on the line here, Al. Oh, Al, you're already up by 10. So you can just push your lead further out with this one and end the game.
I'll finish strong.
All right.
What you got?
3 men and an alma mater for 10. Ryan Shazier, Jimmy Jackson, and Ezekiel Elliott.
Of course. That would be the Ohio State. The Ohio State.
And shit, I totally missed. Y'all fought me for this. I missed y'all's double point on these too.
Damn.
Yeah. So we go back. Which ones y'all got right on these? So Al, on your Javon on the South Carolina State. If you can give me
Harry Carson. Go ahead.
Right. If you can give me 2 other players that went to this school, 2 other professional athletes who went to SC State, you double your points.
Oh, wow. Darius Leonard.
Yeah, right.
Hey. And I'm going with Donnie Shell.
Oh, correct. You paid attention on the last show.
Donnie Shell.
Some other names that would have made it were Deacon Jones, Tamarick Hemingway. What was the other dude's name? I forgot his name. He was an offensive lineman. Raleigh Roundtree played in the league for a while as well. All right. Let's see. Al got Al, you pretty much won it. Unless Jay, you just want to try for shits and giggles for Notre Dame.
I'm getting Tim Brown and Joe Montana is the easiest way to do that.
All right. Al, you just wanted for shits and giggles, University of Texas.
Vince Young and another Texas, Jamal Charles. Did he go to Texas?
Yeah. As did Ricky Williams, Roy Williams.
I forgot about that.
All right.
Them Williams boys.
All right. Of course, everybody know a million dudes from Ohio State. All right.
Yeah.
So, cool. Well, Al, you won it. What you got for your parting shot, sir?
My parting shot is nothing, man. Just have a good week. Good to be back. It's good to have energy. I feel like the guy, like that jet lag hit me bad the next day, so I feel like I had a lot more energy for this show. I ain't gonna say I mailed it in or nothing like that, but I might have called in sick next time. So good to be back with energy and be able to listen and talk and think at the same time. It's a good place to be. Enjoyed it, and I will see y'all next week.
No doubt. Jay, what you got for me?
I'm laughing at Al's jet lag. He had to cross the equator, and you got double jet lag.
Right.
Man, this shit was rough.
Ain't too much. Been laughing at Take a Knee in their non-spoilers. So Take a Knee. Shout out to Regular Scott. Shout out to Ozzy Killmonger. His them was all the 80s cartoons you missed during that interview. That was all of them. But other than that, man, yeah, I'm with Al on that. We all have a great week. You know, let me get my the for money on the way out. Yo, if you're not rocking with Defy Life, what is your life about?
No doubt. Yeah, shout out to Money. Shout out to Pooh. They body different, B. They couldn't make it to the end. But yeah, shout out again to all our listeners, man. We appreciate all the support. May was actually our highest listened to month ever. So shout out to all of our listeners and everybody that's joined us lately. All of our new listeners, all of our old listeners. Dre from Atlanta, all y'all. So we appreciate it. Definitely keep listening, subscribing, following. We definitely appreciate the love. That's all I got. Yeah, right. And keep sending the questions. All right.
Yeah, man. The questions come in handy.
Yeah. So, and since you had money, I'm gonna take Pooh. I ain't really got nothing special for the week, but man,
go on, man.
Go ahead on, man.
Y'all wow, man. Y'all
wow, man. You gonna do me like that though, Al? Okay, man. Nah. Y'all boys wild, man. I ain't got nothing though.
Man, go on. Man.
Right.
Go on.
That's just preposterous. Oh man, we love y'all boys, man. And shout out to Yosh, man. We miss you, bro.
No doubt.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So we will talk to y'all again next week. This has been episode 110 of the Defy Life podcast. Until then, Defy Life.
Defy Life.
Yes, sir. Defy Life.
Welcome to the Anything, Everything, and Nothing podcast with Lynn and Kim. Join us as we discuss the latest in everything from entertainment and current events to the craziness that is our real life.
Let's laugh, let's live, let's talk about it. New episode every Tuesday on the Defy Life Podcast Network. And remember, if you're not defying life, then what are you doing? Lynn and Kim.